Good morning, football fans, and welcome to day number 6. Can you believe it? We are already in to the 6th day of 3 and out, 8 divisions in 8 days. NFC Week, day number 2, talking about the NFC East. Yesterday, we finished it all up with the NFC West. That was a fun one. And while here we are today, jumping on over to the East, we start our journey in New York, the city that never sleeps. That's right. So we start ourselves off in NYC, talking about the Giants. What a season last year, right? I mean, these guys, a lot of bad. Offseason wasn't too good for them. I mean, kind of, I don't know. But losing Paul Barkley, that's kind of the elephant in the room. Let's talk to Ricky K, of course, of our New York show, New York State Sports, to get the info on that. Also, we'll be, after we finish up with New York, we'll be taking a trip on over to the nation's capital to talk with our very own Mike Pat of Let's Wine about DMV Sports. We will be getting on into those Washington Commanders to get into, is this going to be a better season for the Commanders? And is there reason to be optimistic? Coaching changes, player changes, still a hell of a defensive line. But we'll find out what Mike has to say. After that, we're going to be taking a trip way down south, all the way to Texas to be exact, to the DFW. There we will be talking to our boy, Mr. Hoopski. That's right, self-made the host of Mark Texas Sports here on Iowa Radio. Is there reason to believe that this is finally the year for the Cowboys? Well, we will find out. We'll be talking to him. And then, of course, we'll head right back up northeast to Philly. We'll finish our trip today talking to our very own Passion Chris of Philly Sports Talk here on Iowa Radio to talk all about those Philadelphia Eagles and if they believe that this is their year again. I'm just saying, they won one not too long ago. The Eagles were pretty scary though again. So with that said, guys, here we go. 3 and out, 8 divisions in 8 days, NFC East day. Here we go, guys. I hope you're excited, because I am so excited. Let's go, y'all. You're listening to 3 and out right here on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. Welcome, all you diehards out there. What's going on, football fans? Well, here we go, guys. We have made it through 5 full days of 3 and out, 8 divisions in 8 days, and I'm really, really, really happy. I'll tell you, like I said, this always takes a lot out of me because I'm just like interviewing here, interviewing there, doing all these, but nearly done. Really, really happy with that. Nearly done. Of course, with all of these interviews and getting 3 and out all settled for the year. Super excited for that. And well, I got the little mascot up here, Blue. She's hanging out with me today. And we, of course, will be getting ready to talk about that NFC East. So, first things first, guys, before we get into anything else, let's get to all of our stuff here in the read. Because, well, we appreciate you guys so much for being a part of this, as I always say. And we really appreciate you guys being a part of all of our social media. I mean, for 10 years, guys, for the last 10 years, iSports Radio has been around. We've been delivering the best content we possibly can, just building this team more and more and more, and bringing you guys the content that you love. Because, well, when it comes down to it, we're just a big sports family. All of us, including the iSports Radio, and all of you guys out there. So we really appreciate you very much for tuning in, being a part of us. If you have not followed us yet, check us out down here, guys. X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're also on YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Please check us out, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We definitely appreciate you guys, and we thank you so much once again for showing us love and tweeting with us, sending us stuff, sharing stuff, tagging us and stuff. We appreciate it, guys, because we just say we come right back, right? we do it right back, and we love you guys being a part of us, and we love being a part of you guys. So check out all of our podcasts like this one. Of course, this is recorded, and the audio is put on all of these great platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music / Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and Gio7. So all those great platforms, you can catch all of our shows on, of course, after they are recorded here on StreamYard. And then, of course, check out iesportsradio.com, our daily updated website. Everything you need to know from the schedule every single day to your fans of the month, Hall of Fame. You can sign up and become a part of the team, of course, and be a part of the community. Jump in there, talk in our forum, get in our blogs, comment on our blogs. Check out all of our awesome pages that are tailor-made, of course, to all of our shows, such as mine right here, okay, at iSport or 3 and Out, iSportsRadio.com/3 and Out. Check us out. Show us some love. We appreciate you. Check out all of our stuff too here as well at the shop. Grab you a hat, a shirt, some merch. Show us some love. We really appreciate that as well. Also, you can follow us here. You can follow me personally, this show, at 3 and Out _ 3 and Out IESR. And you can follow me, your boy Larry B, on my personal account at the THE_LB53. All right, guys, with that said, let's go ahead and jump on over to our sponsors and get on into the show for today. Check out our sponsors, of course: Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Please make sure to check them out, guys. Give them a follow on Instagram at Planet Jerky. And delicious beef jerky, guys. What goes better with sports, right? Beef jerky, sports, and some IE Sports Radio, hand in hand, right? So give them a follow at Planet Jerky. Also, head on over to planetjerky.net. Pick up a bag while supplies last. Head on over to planetjerky.net, grab a bag, head on back over to Instagram, give them a follow, tell them that you heard this ad here on IE Sports Radio, and while supplies last, you can get yourself a free bag of jerky. Pretty cool, right? So, but once again, guys, we appreciate Planet Jerky for being a part of us and for being the official jerky of IE Sports Radio. Also, my beautiful wife and her awesome wax seals. That's right, guys. If you have invitations, my gosh, wedding invitations, baby shower invitations, graduation invitations, you're sending a regular old letter out to somebody. Whether you want to customize these stamps in any way, really cool. My beautiful wife and her wax seals, Seal the Deal wax seals. Give her a follow on Instagram at Seal the Deal _wax seals. Also, order on IE Sports Radio, $1.50 a piece. IE Sports Radio /Seal the Deal wax seal. She does an amazing job. So check out a word from our sponsors, guys. When we come back, we'll be starting things off in New York City with our boy Ricky K. Talk about them Giants. You are listening to 3 and Outs, 8 divisions in 8 days, day number 6, NFC week, day number 2, NFC East day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back talking Giants after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Welcome back, football fans. Here we go, y'all. The OG powerhouse division of the NFL from the late 80s to early 90s. Well, we are visiting it today. Is it still the powerhouse? I mean, I think it's gotten a little weaker over the years. However, there has been splashes here and there. Okay, Giants doing their thing in the late 2000s, early 2010s. The Eagles coming on up. The Cowboys still trying to figure things out. And well, let's not talk about the Commanders. But with that said, the NFC East has some fun. All right, there's some good stuff in this division, and I'll tell you, this is going to be a great show. So starting things off today, guys, it's kind of funny. He started off AFC East last week with the Jets, and kind of funny, he's also going to be starting off NFC East today with the Giants. So, ladies and gentlemen, to help me talk about those New York Giants, first stop New York today, baby. Oh, yeah. We are talking about the New York Giants, and to help me talk about them, we have here our very own New York host. He is the host of New York State of Sports here on IE Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ricky Kiesler. What's going on? How you doing today, man?
Doing good, Larry. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing my best, just trying to make things happen, you know? So trying to get on through these interviews, loving it. Just trying to stay cool, man. How about you?
Fortunately, it's getting cooler over here, but definitely can't wait to get the fall going and get some sweatshirt, hoodie weather in.
Oh, yeah. There's been too much hot going on lately. So, with that said, check out Ricky, man. Rickinator 555. Awesome stuff there, man. And check him out at NY State Sports on, NY State Sports IE. Get a little loopy after about 20 some of these interviews. Check him out there on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Show him some love, man. He does an amazing job on this account for sure. Tweeting all kinds of New York sports, man. His personal account, he covers plenty of stuff as well. So really, really, really cool. And make sure you catch him on Thursday afternoons, 2 p.m. East Coast time. He does a really, really good job. Did a great job yesterday, because this is Friday of last week. I know. Okay, we're in the future right now, or in the past, or whatever you want to call it. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Talking about them New York Giants. Now, Ricky, my gosh, this team they've been a soap opera. And Hard Knocks in the offseason just goes to show you how much of a soap opera it was. That was different, okay? You talked all about that on your show a couple weeks ago. And, it's just funny to hear, like, how your thoughts on the coach and all these different things. It's pretty funny, but honestly, it just goes to show you this team has, they've got a little road ahead of them, or do they? We'll find out. So let's go ahead and get going with last season. So first things first, man, last year. Okay, let's take a look here at this season. And, well, here we are. It was anything but good. Okay, lots of losses with some wins sprinkled in there. Starting things off with a complete shutout. You don't get a lot of shutouts in the NFL. But when you do get a shutout, it's usually not this bad. Unfortunately, the Giants, pretty big shutout here. 40-0 to start the year off. Then Arizona, nice little victory there, 3-point victory on the road. Okay, so home opener didn't go so well, but hey, on the road went well in the second week. Then it would be a nasty 4-game skid to the Niners, the Seattle Seahawks, Miami, and Buffalo. Then a victory over a division foe here, the Washington Commanders. Then back to the losses, man. Tough go. The loss to the Jets in overtime, that was a very good game. Loss to my Raiders and a loss to the Cowboys on the road. After that, come back with a little redemption. 3 victories straight, 1 over Washington, New England, a bye week, and then home again over Green Bay. Unfortunately, the woes continued with 3 losses in a row again to the Saints, the Eagles, and the Rams. But ending off the season, I know they're probably resting players, but who cares? Ending off the season with a victory over Philadelphia, that's always nice, right? So taking a look at the schedule, Ricky, give us every raw emotion from last year, man.
Well, you can go to the Arizona game. The fact they were, I think it was like 28-7 in the third quarter, and they found a way to win that game or some kind of scenario. But it goes to show you when you don't have a quarterback, and Daniel Jones didn't have an offensive line, leads them getting hurt, tearing his ACL in the Vegas game, and you're left with playing Tommy DeVito at quarterback for a time. And while DeVito did okay, he's not your answer. Tyrod Taylor toward the end of the year did pretty well on a Thanksgiving game against the Eagles in the second half, competed against the Rams. You could tell there's signs there, at least on the front seven defensively, but clearly watching Hard Knocks, you see this team needs to fix their offensive line. It's the only way they're going to get Daniel Jones upright. It's the only way they're going to keep him healthy. And it's the only way they're going to have a successful season. So love what they did defensively. You've seen Thibodeau and Lawrence do their thing. But the fact of the matter is, even if their pass rush doesn't get home, you look at the second half of the year, giving up 33 to the Eagles, 24 to the Saints, 26 to the Rams. There's still some secondary issues they have to work on, which we'll touch on later in the show. But again, they competed against Buffalo early. The Jet game was a fiasco, win like crazy. You can see that Tyrod Taylor throws for 8 yards, and they almost win in overtime. I mean, that game set the sport back about 25 years. But besides that, I think Joe Shea and Brian Dable are finally in the right direction. They've kind of embraced the rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it. It's now about trying to figure things out, and then figuring it out without Darren Waller. Now we'll see what Daniel Jones can do with weapons, with whatever weapons he has.
Darryl Waller, man. I'll tell you right now, was that very unexpected?
The retirement, not so much. I think it was unexpected that they got him to be that big play weapon, and essentially after an injury early in the year, you never heard from him again. Like exactly. that really killed their year, because that was Jones' security blanket at the time. You take him off the field. Bellinger's okay. Slayton's a good player, but they didn't have that game-changing threat that they needed at wide receiver. And then you're putting it all on Barkley, who had his injuries at least early in the year. And as we clearly see, Saquon can't do everything, especially without an offensive line.
Exactly. And yeah, man, I mean, looking here at Waller, I mean, yeah, man, I mean, 31 years old. I mean, but hey, man, decided to call it a career. Crazy, right? I mean, I was like, wow, I thought he had more years in him, especially as a Raider fan. I mean, we loved him, so we thought he was going to go, he said, go over there, maybe be a playmaker. And unfortunately, he didn't do much. So that was kind of rough. But yeah, man, I guess a rough kind of go for the Giants, man. It's one of those years where everything is kind of Murphy's Law, whatever could go wrong did. And a couple sparks in there of good, but really just not a lot of it. So moving on over to the Giants offseason. Okay, so we take a look here and see some of these transactions, okay? And taking a look at a few of them starting early on. We have, let's see here, signing, Chase Cota, and so those are the futures contracts there, but signing, this is what I want to talk about, okay? You have here a new offensive line coach. Hey, offensive line has been kind of a thorn in the side of the Giants, okay? So pretty cool, you guys got some more, I guess, some more coaching changes. We've seen it in the Hard Knocks as well, okay? We've seen some moving around there. Really, I think during Hard Knocks, one of the things I was looking at the most is okay. When you look at the front office, do you see like a team? Do you see like, I don't know? I feel like I feel like the front office kind of has issues of their own after Hard Knocks. I mean, did you get that vibe too, Ricky, or no?
I see an owner, a GM, and a head coach that finally have the independence to make football moves away from the owner. Like, one thing you're seeing is John Mara, while he doesn't really agree, he's not going to meddle. Now, if it doesn't work, then John Mara, I think, has every right to be like, well, I didn't believe it, and you went with it. But it's clear that Mara's not getting involved anymore, kind of like with the whole Eli Manning, Geno Smith stuff. So at least you'd see Joe Shane's voice rings in that room. Although with the whole Saquon stuff and the phone calls and all those things, it's kind of tricky. But not even Brazil with the offensive line. They added a new defensive coordinator in Shane Bowen from the Titans. And that's a team with a really strong front seven.
Tight
so
end
the Giants, at least,
too.
yeah, that Tim Kelly, the tight ends coach, had done some good things. Overall, I think obviously what's going to stand out more is the losses, losing Saquon. And I think business-wise, they made the right move. But that's your face of your franchise. And to lose him and watch him go to Philadelphia and play him twice a year is going to sting like crazy for Giant fans. But they did address the offensive line. That's a big thing for this team. Jermaine Illuminor is going to help out either a guard or a tackle. John Runyon from the Packers is going to be a big thing for them. So I think they've at least helped in that regard. Devin Singletary's okay. Like, I think he's not a number one bell cow back, but he does some good things. I like the addition of Drew Lock at the backup quarterback position, where at least he can win you a couple of games if and when Jones goes down. You have a guy that at least can step in. The issue for me is not even losing Barkley. It's losing Xavier McKinney at safety, because I was talking about it on my show, my most recent episode, Giants' weakness is the secondary. They've got a front seven. They traded for Brian Burns. They've done some great things, and they've clearly upgraded that front seven because their secondary is full of a lot of youth and a lot of inexperience. They got a safety, which we'll get into in the draft, but if they don't get home, they're going to get beat by some of these really good quarterbacks in the NFC. So overall, not a bad off season, but still looking. The Burns thing helps, but they're still looking for something, and they'll need some of these secondary pieces they brought in, or complementary pieces, I should say, to step up and provide that extra boost.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and here we go. I was over here looking. I was like, wait a minute, but they were later on. So April, March, yeah. So I mean, obviously Jordan Phillips coming on over. You got Matthew Adams, Isaiah Simmons, talked about him. Mannertz coming over as well. So I mean, really, lots of signings, re-signings. Like I said, there was some big time signings here. But overall, it's true. I think the elephant in the room, the departure, obviously, of Saquon Barkley. Do you feel? And this is something that I just consistently have been saying on this show this year. But honestly, Ricky, the years of the utility back, the guy who does it all, they're dead. They're dead. To me, they're dead. They're so dead. Guys like Saquon, I think Saquon is probably the last one. I mean, but you don't have the Adrian Petersons no more, the Sean Alexanders, the running back who did it everything. Steven Jackson, the running back who does it all. Because now it's more of like, okay, let's get 3 or 4 guys who we don't got to pay as much to. And if somebody gets hurt, so what? We still got a couple other dudes. Running backs are basically disposable. And I feel like that's kind of where we've come. I mean, do you agree with that, Ricky, or no?
I mean, you clearly saw that on the first episode of Hard Knocks, and they're diving into how much do we have to pay Austin Eckler, how much do we have to pay Josh Jacobs, how much do we have to pay Devin Singletary. But clearly, Shane and Dable went back to their days in Buffalo and went back to Devin Singletary. Here's the problem. Singletary did a lot of his work in Buffalo in the latter years with James Cook. Now you have a Giant situation where Eric Gray is the backup, and he's not bad, but you don't have, like, Singletary, I think, needs a 1A, and they didn't really go and draft a 1A to put with him as that running back. So you're relying so much on Singletary to be that number one, and can he carry that load for 16 games the same way that Barkley was able to, even though he would miss probably 3 or 4 games here or there. You at least knew that game-changing threat was in the backfield. He could catch a screen. He could do a bunch of different things. Again, they did the right thing from a business perspective, because Saquon, with all of his injuries, you probably couldn't pay him what the Eagles paid him, especially with a Giant team that had way too many holes to fill. They're not ready to win yet. So Saquon at least gets to go to a team with a chance to win, but they never did the right thing in getting an offensive line around him. It's one of those things they've struggled with for years. And even you heard Shane said, even Patrick Mahomes couldn't throw at that line. So that's, if you're going to find out what Daniel Jones is or isn't, you have to fix the offensive line. You have to get players around him. And ultimately, the needs of the team were more than the pros of bringing back Barkley.
It's true. I mean, my gosh, this offensive line has been bad for years. It really has been. And really, it's true. You got to address the big things before you address anything else. So, yeah, man, this was, I felt that it was a very good, a step in the right direction kind of offseason. And you know what? That's always nice. So, getting into this draft, man. Okay, here we go. Talking about the draft and some of these picks. Look, I'll tell you, Ricky, you had to have been ecstatic for this. I like Nabers, man. Malik Nabers, a guy out of LSU. This dude can play. I really love what he brings to the table. He's a very, very, very talented wide receiver. And this is just, to me, this is just another, like, we're hoping, come on, we got to get together. Come on, Jones. Like, we're getting you every weapon we could possibly get you. Like, this, come on. We got someone else to throw to. And, you got, I don't know, I thought this is kind of like best player available. Okay. Then we have here, second round, Tyler Newman, a dude safety, as you mentioned earlier, out of Minnesota. I think this guy is extremely good. Could have been a first rounder. Andrew Phillips, corner out of Kentucky, SEC corner. The dude, has some polishing to do, but overall, solid, dynamic player. Could have really been a second rounder overall, so good pickup there. When we get into the fourth round, Theo Johnson, tight end out of Penn State. This guy's actually pretty dang good. I mean, once again, he's got some growing to do in the NFL. But as you see here on the screen too, courtesy of ESPN.com, it's supposed to fill the void, or it could help fill the void of Darren Waller. Then we get into the later on guys who could not make the team, practice squad guys, we'll see. But we have Tyron Tracy Jr. out of running back out of Purdue. Here we go. Why not get some depth in there? This could be a part of your 2 or 3-headed monster that you're trying to create there in New York. And then Darius Mwasu and Mwasau, a linebacker out of UCLA, a guy that I've seen before, obviously, in the Pac-12, rest in peace. But, he is certainly, a dynamic dude who I thought could have actually gone a lot earlier in the draft. But maybe they found some things that, I don't know, weren't so desirable. I don't know. But I thought he played pretty damn good. So overall, I mean, I think you guys had a pretty damn good draft, actually. But what do you think, Ricky? I mean, overall, looking at this draft, what are you thinking?
Well, it's clear from Hard Knocks they love Malik Nabers. Now, they tried like crazy to get Drake May and Jaden Daniels. Like, you watch those meetings with quarterbacks, and I know they communicated everything with Daniel Jones, but they wanted a quarterback at the top of the draft and did not have the draft capital to get it done, nor were the Patriots going to be willing to get out of that pick to get their franchise quarterback. But you could tell there was the episode where Nabers, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Roma Dunze were in the building, and you could clearly tell they wanted Nabers. He's an explosive threat. He can get yards after the catch, line up in the slot. You've seen it early in training camp. This is where the offense needs to be around, is this guy, because he can game break plays. He can change the dynamic of games. They need him to be that number one. He's not Odell Beckham. Of course, both went to LSU, but I think he can work out. So overall, they had to make a big play threat, and they got one. Newman is good. Problem is he's got a calf issue to start camp. Shouldn't be too serious, but again, the Giants have so much youth in that secondary. Deontay Banks was good last year at corner, but Cordell Flott's 2022 pick. They're using Andrew Phillips in the third round. So their corner depth and their safety depth, really young. But the Kentucky kid's going to do a good job, I think, as well in the third round. The problem now with Theo Johnson is he's starting the training camp on the PUP list. And you're missing out on those valuable reps. So it's going to be up to Daniel Bellinger to carry the load. If Johnson is healthy this year, he's going to be that pass catcher they need and that guy that can stretch the field at vertical tight end that teams are looking for. Not a bad draft. Again, I think they didn't have a lot of picks. They clearly were trying to trade without going into 2025's picks that much. But to get a receiver, to get a tight end, to get Daniel Jones weapons, and to help the secondary by at least getting some youth and trying to see some dynamic players in the back of that secondary is, I think, a need Shane was looking for, and they addressed it. But there's going to be growing pains in the secondary with all those young players.
That's for sure. That's for sure, Ricky. And looking at it, overall, it's that's what I think. I mean, every season, you got them growing pains no matter what. You're trying so hard to make things happen as fast as you can. That's the NFL. It's instant gratification. And because that's what it is. I mean, if things don't get going quick, then obviously, okay, you're a dud, no matter who you are. Oh, hired a new head coach. Oh yeah, we're looking forward to having you. Press conference, whatever. Don't produce in about 2 years, you're gone. Hey, we're gonna draft this kid. He looks really, 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 really good. My gosh, you didn't even have a good rookie year in your first round draft pick. I mean, despite an injury, you're probably gone coming up. You're a mid-round draft guy. You have even shorter time to prove yourself to even make the team. And even when you get there, we'll see how you go. We may shun you forever if you look like crap in your first 2 plays. I mean, it's crazy, man. But it's a business. It's a business, Ricky. So it's true. There's lots of growing pains with the Giants defense right now. That's for damn sure. Overall, this is a defense who couldn't do much last year. We saw in some of those nasty, couple blowout games. And then, like you said, the offensive line is just kind of in pieces. I mean, right now, I don't know. I mean, it's this team has a lot to work with, but they have a lot to make happen as well. So let's see how they do. Once again, the draft was as good. I think the draft was as good as the Giants could draft this year. I think they really, really did their due diligence to draft exactly who they needed and to just try to fit the pieces in there, man. So looking at this season, oh man, here we go. This is looking at who is again this year, the AFC North, obviously. And I see the who is it again? AFC North and the NFC South. Okay. So looking at these teams, I don't want to be too optimistic here, but obviously it's the NFL. Okay, NFL is the NFL. But looking at these teams, man, I am seeing Minnesota. Who are they going to be this year? The Commanders. That could be a nice little start, depending on how well the Giants play. You got some knockers in there. The AFC North is definitely the new powerhouse division of the NFL right now. And those are some tougher ones. But, looking at the AFC East this year, well, let's get to that and stick it to them. But, there could be some nice little wins in there, depending. And then looking at the NFC South, dude, the NFC South it's wide open for them. We don't even know who's going to be decent and who's not going to be decent. Last year, the winning record was 9 wins, I think. So this is actually not this brutal schedule, at least to me, for the Giants this year. I feel like this is actually this is obviously it's the NFL. Like I said, no games are easy, but hey, if you're going to have a schedule, this isn't a cupcake schedule for damn sure, but there isn't, you guys don't got, the Chiefs on here. You guys don't have, I don't know, some other extremely talented team. I mean, obviously, like I said, the AFC North is good, but when it comes down to it, no Detroit, no, I don't know. I'm losing myself, but I will say, when it comes down to it, this looks like a decent little season, man. So what are you thinking?
Well, obviously, like you said, week 1 is, I think, the swing game, and everybody's team's week 1's the swing game. But when you're playing either Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy, that's a game the Giants need to win. They get off to slow starts historically over the last couple of years, and to kind of get the positive momentum going, you want to win there. They do pretty well against the Commanders with Daniel Jones, so that's usually a win. So if they could get that Minnesota win and start 2-0, and their front seven's going to win them some games. Like I've talked about the secondary, but when you have Lawrence, Thibodeau, Burns, Phillips, Isaiah Simmons, who's going to help out in the linebacking core, they've got enough to wreak havoc on the likes of a Deshaun Watson, a Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields to win some games. And you look at that November stretch, Washington at home, Carolina and Germany, a bye, and then Tampa at home. That's a winnable stretch of 4 games before they get embarrassed on Thanksgiving by the Cowboys like they usually do. I think they put that there just to get Dallas some wins on Thanksgiving. I don't why we have to watch Giants Cowboys on Thanksgiving every year is absolutely ridiculous. But the schedule in December is tough. I mean, Baltimore, Atlanta, Indy's pretty good, and then who knows what the Eagles have to play for. Again, this is, I think, a 7-win team, 8-win team. I think that's a fair expectation, especially since they have addressed the backup quarterback position and they should be able to still win some games. But who emerges as that second wide receiver? Is it Jalen Hyatt? Is it Wan'Dale Robinson? Is it Slayton having another good year? They have to find out who's going to emerge offensively, because defensively, they're going to stay in some games. It's just a matter of can they get those points in the red zone. That's going to decide things. The schedule, like you said, not a lot of tough teams in the NFC. So there are winnable games, but the key is they have to get off. I would think 2-2 at the minimum through the first 4 is what they need. So if they start 1-3, 1-4, it's another long year. And then you can really have the Brian Dable hot seat discussion with a certain former Giant defensive coordinator sitting on his couch this year. That has to be in the mind of John Mara, I would think.
That is for dang sure, man. And great analysis there on the season. You're right. I don't know what it is about Thanksgiving and the Giants and Cowboys. It's getting old, guys. Can we stop it? No, I'm totally with you, man. Really, this team. Look, it's not as like we've talked about. It's not the most. No games are freebies, okay, in the NFL. But when look at that schedule, hey, the Giants can at least compete in a lot of those damn games. So, well, with that said, Ricky, we are to the end, man. Definitely some good stuff always. Thank you so much for stopping by. But I'll tell you right now, we have here a little segment to get to. You know it from last week with the Jets? Well, here it is in the NFC version. Oh, yeah, the NFC East version. We are talking about the other 3 teams now in the division. The Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Commanders. Obviously, you told us all about how you think the Giants are going to do this year. Now, tell us about those other 3 teams, how you think they're going to do this year. And as I always say, it's okay to sprinkle a little bit on top and tell us how you really feel. So, without further ado, Ricky, stick it to him.
Well, for one, I'm looking forward to watching the next quarterback of the New York Giants next year, and I think that might be Dak Prescott. So that might be something that could be a little bit interesting. If the Cowboys don't want to pay him, I mean, hey, John Mara could go pay because Dak beats us all the time. Like, why not just take him and put him in New York and see what he can do? But they got a quarterback that doesn't know what his contract is. The wide receiver doesn't want to go to camp. Mike McCarthy can't win a playoff game. There's just chaos in Dallas beyond actually being on the field. They'll still be okay, but you never knows. The Eagles, what is Nick Sirianni? He wants to change coordinators. Now the blame's on him. It's gonna sting watching Barkley all the time. They're explosive offensively, but there's something there. If they struggled so bad at the end of last year, they're gonna have to fix some stuff. But I would think the Eagles to me are the favorite in that division, not Dallas. And the only team that could be as bad as the Giants is the Commanders. I mean, they're the team that picked second. Now I like Jaden Daniels, but they don't even beat the Giants. So as Dan Quinn brought in Dallas DC. Literally, he picked up all the Dallas coaches and took them to DC with him. But there's a lot there. I'm calling this division the Bill Belichick division because I'm going to make a prediction that in 2025, Bill Belichick is coaching one of 3 teams in the NFC East.
I'm sorry. I'm sitting here with my mouth open waiting for a fly to go in. Sorry. Whoa, where did that come from? Okay. You can't just say that and end it, Ricky. No. Give us your logic on this.
Well, Bill Belichick is going to want to go to a team that has a chance to win. If you get rid of McCarthy in Dallas or Sirianni in Philly, those are still ready-made rosters. Probably Philly made more so than Dallas. And the question is, if you're going to keep Dak in Dallas, you need a better coach than McCarthy if they do fall short again. Or you get Bill and you get a veteran quarterback or something like that. I think Philly would be more realistic. Howie Roseman could probably go and get him at the Eagles and make that big splash higher rather than go for another coordinator if Sirianni doesn't work. And the Giants, we talked about earlier, the whole John Mara factor. Now, would Joe Shane be on for Bill Belichick? I don't know. Because Shane and Dable are kind of tied at the hip. I think that's the least likely because those two, I think, are going to see this thing through. If one goes, they both go.
Yeah.
But I think Dallas or Philly, if you're looking big name, it almost happened this year. A lot of people thought that Belichick could have been the coach of those, and he clearly turned down working for Shanahan with the Niners as a defensive coordinator. So if he's going to come back, he's going to come back to be a head coach. And I think those 2 spots would be the most realistic if either of those teams not even fall short, but just fall short in the playoffs because those should be playoff teams, but they have loftier expectations than that.
You know what? Way to elaborate on that. That's pretty good. That once a football mind over here. Gotta love, man. Ricky knows this stuff, but he also knows lots of other things. Make sure you check him out right here, ladies and gentlemen, at NY State Sports on Twitter, X, and we have Rickinator555. Give him a follow there as well, man. Ricky, thanks again, brother. You stuck it to him. You gave us some cool logic there at the end. You talked some awesome Giants right there, man. Thank you so much for today. Seriously, this was a lot of fun as always, man. You covered both the Jets and the Giants for us, man. And, well, he'll be covering them all year long right here, man. Remember, New York State Sports New York State Sports. Sorry, I don't know why I thought I messed that up. Every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Show him some love, man. Ricky is the man. Any last thoughts or words or anything before we're out of here, Ricky?
I think more importantly, just again, quarterback health. I'm interested to see if Daniel Jones can finish the year, because if he can't, they can find a new quarterback, and I'm interested to see if they do they go for draft, or again, as I mentioned, and stick it to him. I know they don't want to spend a lot of cap, but the idea of Dak in New York City, I think, is very intriguing, even though they might not be ready to win, and maybe Dak is looking for a more ready-to-win environment. That's the kind of group. If you're looking big name, especially with Aaron Rodgers in the other side of New York or New Jersey, Dak would be kind of a good counter-argument to that.
Well, you know what? Good stuff there. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, give him a follow. Ricky's the man, and that'll do it. So with that said, guys, we're all finished up with the Giants here. One team down, 3 more to go in the NFC East. Next stop, we're going to the nation's capital to talk about those Commanders. You are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, NFC week, day number 2, NFC East day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. When we come back, we're talking Commanders right after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Here we go, y'all. We have just finished up with the New York Jets. And well, here we go, man. We are rolling on in to the nation's capital to talk about those Washington Commanders. And well, to help me do that, we have, of course, the host of Let's Whine About DMV Sports. And let's just say, he likes to type a little bit because he's also the chief editor of our blog here at IE Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming Mr. Mike Pat. What's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Good afternoon, Larry B. Welcome back for round 2 of 8 divisions of 8 days for me personally. Now that we've gone over the Ravens, it's time to take a step back and go for the Commanders.
That was really sad. Wow. We talked about the good team now.
Yeah, we talked about the good team.
That's sad. That's really sad. Okay, well, we can. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for this segment.
Good. Have a good day, everybody.
Poor Mike. It's okay. Well, here we go, man. Let's jump on into it. Last year, man. Oh my goodness, the Commanders. Look, the Commanders have seen better days. Obviously, the better days were back when they were the Redskins. Even, this team just hasn't seen something solid for a long time. But it's okay. They're clawing their way back as best as they can. So, see a quick little recap of last season, and boy, oh boy,
oh yeah,
my goodness, this is starting things off. I mean, Mike, you must have had lots of hope, or you might have just known the other shoe was going to drop at some point, because a 2-0 start, a very nice little victory over Arizona, and then actually a squeaked out one over Denver. That was pretty cool. And then it was just a beat down. I mean, my gosh, Buffalo just did what they do, and my goodness, that was just a lopsided game at home. Then you went on the road and actually, my gosh, beat a very good Philadelphia team in overtime. And then it's like, how does this happen? Chicago, this is no hate towards Chicago, but a loss to a Chicago team that wasn't that great. But then, so a 3-game losing streak, unfortunately. You redeem with a nice little victory over Atlanta. Then back to a 2-game skid, the Giants and the Eagles. Then a victory over New England, thankfully, because, you get the wins where you can get them, right? Well, Mike, after that game, that's where the season ends because, my gosh, Seattle, New York, Dallas, Miami, a bye week, thank God. And then Los Angeles, the Rams, New York Jets, the Niners, and the Dallas Cowboys. And, well, Mike, that's an 8-game skid. And, ouch. So please give it to us. Every raw emotion as a Commander last season.
Well, not surprisingly, as you can see from this list, there were a lot of emotions last year. And I talked about this, last offseason, headed into the offseason. What was this Commanders team going to be? Just had a new owner take over the team. They hadn't made sweeping changes yet, which is not surprising because usually people don't come in and immediately start, oh, you're gone, you're fired, all that jazz. So they, in all fairness, new ownership was like, hey, you guys are going to get the season. We're going to, do the draft. We'll have a couple of changes. Pick your guys and let it happen. First 2 games, obviously great. Admittedly against an Arizona team that would finish with the same record as us, so that's how good they were, and a Denver team that proved to not really be very good last year. I think, the expectations for Denver were very high. So, first 2 games, hindsight 2020, fair enough. 2 wins. Against Buffalo, very good Buffalo team. Naturally, loss. Nobody was upset by that one. At Philadelphia, played a very competitive game at Philadelphia. Then the Chicago game happened. And that Chicago game kind of put us kind of teetering on an edge. Is this team really going to be competitive? Are they going to not be competitive? It could have gone either way at that point. We go 2-2 over the next 4 games. And what really sealed the deal to me when the season was lost was Thanksgiving Day when those pesky Dallas Cowboys absolutely wiped the floor with us on national television. At that point, the season was over. Sam Howell, who had been decent to start, had his moments, just completely collapsed. Jacoby Brissett even started a couple of the last games. The defense was awful. That was the point where it was like, okay, it's going straight downhill. Let's see what draft pick we can get.
That's it. That was basically it, right? Like, seriously, Thanksgiving Day.
Which I think if you look at the schedule, aside from the Chicago game, that might have been our only nationally televised game. Other national televised game was that one. I don't know, we might have had we definitely weren't Monday night. I don't see any Mondays. There might have been a Sunday night game in there somewhere, but I'm pretty sure that those two were our only nationally televised ones.
Yeah, I mean, look at. Oh my gosh, what sorry about that. I know there's a little error there, a little cut in the internet, unfortunately, on my side, and it kind of like blanked for a couple of seconds. But no, right when you picked up, it was only a few seconds. Picked up on Thanksgiving, man. No, absolutely. I mean, look at this, man. We talked about. I mean, the skid already started. You know, 1, 2, and then right here. Okay, I mean, yeah, that Dallas game was because these two were close. Seattle, it could have gone either way. The Giants game, I mean, you guys were in that game, but it just kind of fell apart. And then, yeah, right on that Thanksgiving. And then look at what happens the week after. And then there were some games that they competed in, but for the most part, they were just lopsided games. And you're right. It all really started with that Thanksgiving game. Everyone just kind of gave up.
Yep. Pretty much. And really, it was the week before that Giants game, because going 0-2 against, I mean, we went 0-6 against the division, so that's not, great. But going 0-2, I mean, objectively, and, as a third-party fan, you can confirm this, other than the Commanders, the Giants were objectively the other worst team in our division last year. So going 0-2 against the team that's rather obviously the other bad team in your division, that's what really set it off. And then it was the Dallas game, was like the New York game. That was when the bomb got released, and then the Dallas game is when it hit.
I mean, you guys are just making history in all the wrong ways here. I'm just kidding. Hey, I'll tell you, look, as a Raider fan, some embarrassing history for us. In 2010, the Raiders actually swept the AFC West.
Yep.
But we were 6-10.
Well, you do have to win the other games as part of the process.
Somebody didn't tell them that,
Yeah, I guess they missed that message. But hey, 4-7 outside of the division, that's not awful for the Commanders last year,
No, it's like, so you could be like, yeah, the Raiders are the only team in history to do that, by the way. So I'm just saying, when it comes to making bad history, our teams are pretty good at that. So it's okay.
There you go.
It's okay. So with that said, like, we get into the offseason, man. And yeah, I mean, this was, man, talk about eventful. My gosh.
Oh yeah.
the events that took place, man. I mean, look at this. Look, I mean, dude, this is, I think, probably one of the biggest ones I've seen in 8 divisions in 8 days so far. I mean, my gosh. I mean, first things first, you signed Chase Whitaker, D'Angelo Mandel, Davion Davis. You got some moves around here. You're placing players here, place players there. Look, we get a new run coordinator. We get a new offensive coaching staff. We got new offensive. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot what the hell they put him at, but Brian Johnson comes on in. Dan Quinn is now the head coach. We get Kendrick Jones. What else happens, man? Hey, look, Obata comes back. Zach Ertz is here now. Hey, you guys released a couple of dudes here. I mean, this was crazy. Look how many players were signed here. Obviously, you got some draft in here. We get into April, but man, look at this here in May. Release, signed, release. I mean, my gosh, Luke McCaffrey is signed. Of course, we'll get into that, but Mike, I mean, just my gosh, talk about some of your favorite and least favorite moves of the offseason.
Well, by far, the most important move, it was a move that had to happen, and I believe they waited until the season was over out of respect for him, but moving on from Ron Rivera, look, all the mad respect to Ron Rivera. Great person, very good head coach in his time. The league had passed him by a bit. I think everybody could kind of see that last year. The way he had constructed the roster, the way, he kind of took some of his old players from, Carolina who were good, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but, not so great, now. And just, the drafting was inconsistent and not great. Somebody made a post in the Ron Rivera era. The Commanders could have come away with, and I'm trying to remember the names, Justin Herbert, cornerback Christian Gonzalez, and I'm trying, who was the other? There was left tackle Christian Darrisaw, who's now like an all-pro for the Vikings, and who was there was a fourth one, a first rounder. It must have been like 2021 or something. But anyways, they could have come away with like 4 like Pro Bowl caliber players and missed every pick that they made before them in the process. So the drafting was inconsistent. And again, like I said, all the respect to Coach Ron Rivera, but the time had come, needed to move on. Go out and you hire Dan Quinn. Now, Dan Quinn's not the most exciting person, but he's a well-known name in the NFL. A lot of people know him. A lot of people respect him. He's a guy who, with the way this roster was, which as you can tell by all of the moves, there was a lot to do. There were a lot of moves to be made. A guy who could come in, be a stable presence, not win you a Super Bowl necessarily, but be a stable presence, be a consistent presence, and help shape this and form this to the point where in 2 to 3 years, now we're talking about a team that's really good and really competitive. So that was the most important move, was bringing in Dan Quinn and, kind of constructing a coaching staff that could work with this team. Brian Johnson, as you noted, who I think his official title is like passing game coordinator or something like that. Anthony Lynn, the former Chargers head coach, I believe, he's the running game coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury, they brought him in. So not only the hiring of Dan Quinn, but the construction of an experienced, well-rounded coaching staff that can guide this team over the course of a couple years and be patient. Because like I said, new ownership, now your new head coach, rebuilt roster, there's leeway for error. There's opportunities, for you can make a mistake and not get fired next week. So it's a good situation, and the reconstruction of the coaching staff was the most important part of the process.
And that is so true. It's true. Riverboat Ron, we bid you adieu, good sir. He is amazing. He really did a lot. I mean, my gosh, some people don't even know he was a part of the 85 Bears team. I mean, Ron Rivera has been in and around the NFL for a very long time, but it's time. It's what happens, man. The NFL will pass you by. It's a different game. I mean, I've been talking about this all season. I mean, all 8 visions and 8 days long. But, dude, I mean, I hate to say it, but even like the running back thing, it's over. It's over. No more one running back. The dominant running backs, the Adrian Petersons, the Sean Alexanders, the Steven Jacksons, the guy who does it all back there the entire game, that doesn't exist anymore. Now they figured out, let's save some money. Let's instead of getting one powerful super monster Earl Campbell kind of guy, let's just get 3 dudes who are pretty good and then rotate the hell out of them.
Right. We went from guys regularly getting 350 carries in a season to now if somebody gets 350 carries, everybody goes, is he going to be okay?
Exactly. It's totally different. So it's just a different game now, man. And, it sucks. I mean, sometimes we got to evolve with it or get left behind. People like Andy Reid adapted pretty damn good to it, but the guys, Bill, I don't know, Belichick's, I don't know if he had a pretty good go with that and everything, but it's true. Unfortunately, guys like Ron, I mean, hey, but look, man, getting on in, you talked about the draft picks and the inconsistency, and boy, they were pretty inconsistent, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but looking at this year's draft, hey, Mike, there's reason to be happy. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Hey, this is we always do the draft show together. We have a good time doing that. But Mike, I'll tell you, man, this right here, Okay, if we're talking about right directions, I mean, golly, this is quite the right direction, because here we are, Jaden Daniels, man. This dude right here is I love him. I think he is a solid athlete, man. He actually pretty crazy. He played for Cajon High School back in high school, which is literally, I grew up not even 20 miles from Cajon. I mean,
Wow.
they were one of the bigger high schools, better high schools in the Inland Empire. And he's over there in San Bernardino, and not necessarily the biggest football town, not necessarily the nicest place, but it's a nicer part of San Bernardino. And he's certainly played for a very good school, the Cajon Cowboys. After that, obviously, we know he went on to LSU, did his thing, and now he's finding himself in Burgundy. So we went from like this green and yellow, I think, the Cajon Cowboys went over yellow and purple, and now he's going to strap on the burgundy, man, in gold.
Yep.
And overall, we have that. I mean, I know you have a lot to say about that, but good pick up there, first round. Second overall pick, man. John Newton here, defensive tackle out of Illinois. Obviously, we're seeing trying to make some things happen on the defensive line. He's a big boy. We neither of us had him going in the first round, but it's a great pickup for the second round overall. Mike Sinristil. Whoa, wow, I can't pronounce that one right, but he is a national champion, obviously, coming out of Michigan. DB there in the second round, and another second round, man. Ben Sinnott, this guy right here, a very good athlete, man, out of Kansas State. This guy is he's actually pretty big. Look here, 6'4", 250 pounds, big boy, man. The guy had tons of receptions here. Then we get into the third round. You guys had a good handful of, we just have three or two. Just two in the third round. But look at that. Luke McCaffrey, Brandon Coleman, another offensive lineman out of TCU. Luke McCaffrey, hey, we know that last name, coming out of Rice. So, I mean, yeah, Jordan McGee later on out of Temple. We had here Dominic Hampton, safety out of Washington. You had here, and the last pick, of course, 7th round, Javonte Jean-Baptiste. This guy right here out of I don't know how he fell so late, honestly. I thought he'd for sure be like in the third, maybe, out of Notre Dame, the defensive end. But regardless, you guys pick him up in the 7th. What do you think, man? I mean, are you pretty excited, pretty optimistic with this draft? How did you feel about it?
Oh, I'm very optimistic. So, I mean, starting at the top, Jaden Daniels. I mean, look, the top like 3 or 4 picks, there really is that much to say in the draft. Most people generally know, unless somebody does something really shocking, like a couple years ago when the Jaguars took Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. That's a pick that you probably talk about for a little while. But Jaden, look, everybody knew the Commanders needed a quarterback. Their quarterback room was Marcus Mariota and, oh my gosh, who was the other guy who they had? Jeff Driscoll. Marcus Mariota and Jeff Driscoll. You had the number 2 pick in a loaded quarterback class. Everybody knew this was going to be a quarterback. It was just a question of were they going to go with Jaden Daniels or were they going to go with Drake May? My preference was Daniels. They went with Daniels. Phenomenal athlete, like you said. This is a guy who, even if he's not necessarily a great passer in year one, his legs are going to do some damage and make some plays. And it's going to bring some excitement to the team, and that's what you need. Last year, there wasn't any excitement. There was a little bit around Sam Howell, but, now there's more excitement in the quarterback room because you have an exciting athlete there. So, no questions, qualms, or debates about the first pick. Then Johnny Newton. Now, at first I was confused by this pick because Newton's a defensive tackle, and we have 2 $20 million a year defensive tackles on the roster in Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. So I was like, okay, how are we going to make that work? Because I mean, you could maybe if you move it to a 3-4, you put all 3 of them on the field at the same time. Maybe that would work. Or do you try to rotate them? Or maybe do you let Allen play a little bit of defensive end? With the scheme, because one thing about Dan Quinn, remember, is that he's one of the guys defensively who kind of introduced this concept of the multiple front and that like 4-3 under defense scheme, which is like a hybrid between the 3-4 and the 4-3. You're a defensive guy. I know you know all of this.
Yeah, it's a little odd. It's actually a pretty cool defense. You have a stand-up defensive end. It's
a very cool defense. The Seahawks, the Legion of Boom, they were actually really the first ones to really deploy that. People don't talk about it because they talk about the Legion of Boom, but it's where you can utilize guys that have these versatile skill sets, like in the Seahawks case, Michael Bennett, who could rush off the edge and rush from the middle, and guys like Cliff Averill, who you could line up like way outside, almost over top of the slot, and he can pass rush from the inside. And you have linebackers like Bruce Irving, who they had, who could stand up and rush from the dirt. So, you have this variable defense. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, is he going to use some version of that here? Like, what are we doing? But then somebody made a statement. Somebody made a statement on social media that I wholeheartedly agree with, and it changed my mind about the pick. And it's, when your team goes 4-13 and is that bad and your defense is the worst in the league, no position is off limits. There is no such thing as not a need. Every spot is a need. So just take the best player available, and that's what Newton was at the time. I actually had him going in the late first round. A lot of people had him in like the late 20s to 30. So 36, pretty good. Unfortunately, he's already hurt, as it came out with in OTAs, but that's okay because we still have the two $20 million defensive tackles. So, we'll be all right for the 1 year that he might miss due to injury. We'll survive. Then Sandra. Now, these next 4 picks, Sandra, Sano, Coleman, and McCaffrey, those 4 all fit. They all went where they went because there's something that kept them from being first rounders. It's kind of like in Moneyball, where they're like, hey, this guy's great, overlook him because of this. So Sandra, people overlooked him as a top talent because he's really only going to be a slot corner. He can't be anything from a slot corner because he's only 5'10", 182 pounds. But he is a tough, physical ball hawk playmaker who was one of the best defensive players on a Michigan defense that carried them to a national championship. I don't want to take away from guys like J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum, but that defense was pretty damn good, and one of the main reasons why they got all the way there. Sano, the reason why he fell so far is because, is he a tight end? Is he an H-back? Is he like a fullback? Does he have really one true position? But he can do a lot of things really well. He's a good pass catcher. He's a great blocker. I've seen some clips of him blocking. He's putting guys on their ass on the football field. He's putting like defensive ends on their rears. Like, the scheme where the tight end comes across the middle and gets the backside block. He is leveling people coming across the field. So, as a, versatile George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk like tight end, fullback, H-back guy, I love it. Coleman, not your prototypical left tackle, but a fantastic athlete. If he was an inch and a half taller, he probably would have gone late first, early second. But he reminds me a little bit of Teron Armstead, a guy who didn't quite have the size that everybody loved, but Armstead athlete to give Armstead credit, but really good athlete and has other physical attributes that make up for the size. Like Coleman's 6'4.5", but he's got 35-inch long arms, which is pretty great length, and he's got huge hands. He had some of the biggest hands at the combine, which is some of those other things that help make up for it. So love that pick. And then McCaffrey, went to a school that people don't associate top wide receivers with in Duke. Nobody sees, great receivers coming out of Duke very often, but he does one thing really well, and it's kind of important for a receiver to be able to do this, and that is he can catch the ball really well. And at the end of the day, if you're a receiver and you can catch the ball, you're gonna find a job in the NFL.
It's kind of the basis of the
basis.
Job.
And it surprises me when I see receivers, they're like, oh, this guy's 6'4", 225, runs a 4.3 40, a little inconsistent with the hands. It's like, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Inconsistent with the hands. And who was the guy? This was over a decade ago. You might remember this, but there was a guy who came out in the draft who was drafted because he ran like a 4.35, but he didn't catch a single pass in college.
So are we doing a track meet or playing football here?
Yeah, like I get that he's got great physical tools, but he didn't catch a pass in college. Why would you draft him? So yeah, I don't know. But
that's funny, man. No,
McCaffrey does that part well. He does that part well, and he takes after his brother, who's also a very good pass catcher.
And that's it. You want that. I mean, out of Rice, by the way. Yeah, the dude is a.
Rice, not even
Rice
Duke. Why am I thinking of Duke? Who am I? I don't even know who I'm thinking of. Rice. Even more of my argument.
Rice owl. I mean, you don't really see that too often. So yeah, man. I mean, it's true. And then looking at that too, because I mean, it's kind of funny. You talked about that really fast. I have to chime in. You're right. 6'5", 220 pounds, runs a 4.340. Can he catch? Did I mention he leaps a 36 vertical?
Yeah, don't forget his 11-foot broad jump.
Can he catch? His middle name is Brandon.
He's got 10.5-inch hands.
Yeah, but can he catch? He also drives a Mercedes. Like what? Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, seriously, it's like, yeah, the end of the day, man. You catch the damn ball.
Catch the ball.
I don't care. You could be Darren Sproles size. It doesn't matter. Catch the ball.
And Hunter Renfrow is a great example of that, by the way. Like a guy, 5'2", maybe 57 pounds soaking wet. No disrespect to Hunter Renfrow. He is bigger than that. But the dude can catch the daggum football. And I know a lot of people were concerned because, he measured smallish hands but he catch the damn ball. I don't care. You figure it out. And then day 3. And we talked about this last week with the Ravens. On day 3, you should have one of two goals. You should be drafting guys who are either going to be really solid backups, special teamers, or guys with great upside. Mm-hmm. I think the Commanders kind of hit a little bit of all three. They've got McGee, who I think could actually develop into a starter over time, reading his description. I mean, this guy, he had 14 tackles for loss. He had sacks for Temple. He had interceptions for Temple. Mm-hmm. Dude could play all over the field. He probably just didn't go very high because A, he's a linebacker, B, he's not the biggest guy, and C, he played for Temple. So I'm sure, all three of those. But I think this guy he's probably going to be our number 4 linebacker right off the bat. Then, eventually could play into his spot as a starter. And then Dominique Hampton, special teams guy, great size for a safety as well. And then Javonte Jean-Baptiste, big upside guy. So, a guy, 6'5", 240 pounds, freak athlete. Does he need some touch up? Does he need some coaching? Does he need some time to develop? Probably. Might he land on the practice squad year 1? It's possible. But, I mean, this is a guy who, the upside's so enticing, you almost have to take that shot in the 7th round. Like, yeah, sure. We went out and signed 3 defensive ends in free agency, but hey, what's one more? We can make it work.
It is so true, man. I'll tell you right now, the draft was pretty solid, man. The draft was pretty solid. I you know what? That's the first time in a while we've seen a Commanders draft that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, I can say that, man. There's some good stuff.
The only thing I didn't like about the draft, the main problem I had is on day 2, it a trade with the Eagles, a division rival, which allowed the Eagles to draft Cooper DeJean. It's what gave us an second-round pick because we had 2 going in and we ended up with 3. But at the same time, you let your division rival get like a top 25 player in the draft.
Yeah.
You just take him. Why don't you just take him?
No,
so I would have loved the draft if it weren't for that trade that allowed the Eagles to get Cooper DeJean. It's bad enough the league decided defense schmefence and Quinyon Mitchell dropped to them at 22. That was bad enough. And now we're going to help the process by letting them trade up and get Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, why not, right? Because why not? Hey, screw it. I mean, yeah, that I know. Talk about defense. It's the truth, though, man. My gosh, we didn't see a defensive player go for how long? I mean, my gosh, that was crazy. But
pick 16 or 17? Was it 17? Was the first one? Because whenever the Vikings picked Dallas Turner, he was the first one.
Dude, you gotta love it, right?
Absurd.
You gotta love it. Defense. We don't need defense no more.
We don't need no stinking defense.
This is the NBA. Just kidding. This is great. So, Mike, we're looking at this season, man. How about it, man? It looks okay. Obviously, the AFC, the NFC East. Okay, you got a Cowboys team who's, make or break for sure for Dak this year. You got a Giants team who they don't even know what's going on right now themselves. The Eagles are so close to doing good things, but they do weird things sometimes to make it look like they're not. I don't know. Then there's you guys, and then we have here, looking at it, we have the NFC, the AFC North. Okay, cool. Got some of those, that's like the new powerhouse division. All right, those fools. Every team in there is looking pretty good right now. Yep. And then there was the the NFC South, right? Let's see the NFC South in there. Okay, and then a couple outlier teams in there. Well, looking at this, man, what are you thinking? Are you kind of confident? Are you actually pretty optimistic? Are you like, okay, I guess we're building? What do you think, Mike? What are you looking at?
So I would expect the Commanders. So there is, there are a couple of general schools of thought, with teams that do a lot of changes in the offseason, is that, it's ultimately you hope it's for the better, but usually early on in the year, it doesn't necessarily, you've got all these new guys, they're trying to figure out how to play with each other. You're going to have at least 2 new starters on the offensive line, potentially 3. You're going to have new starters all over the defense. You're going to have, new weapons to incorporate because basically all the tight ends are going to be new. And, you got Austin Eckler now in the backfield. And, oh, by the way, a basically new quarterback room because Sam Howell gone, Jacoby Brissett gone, Marcus Mariota, Jaden Daniels in. So there's going to be a lot of figuring each other out. No, by the way, entirely new coaching staff as well. So everything brand spanking new, but the thing with those teams is sometimes it all comes together and then down the stretch, all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, this team's starting to go, oh, dang, they just won 2. Oh, they won 3 out of 4. What? Dang. So that would be my most realistic, optimistic outlook. Obviously, every fan can go, oh yeah, I expect my team to win the Super Bowl this year. But is that realistic for the Commanders? No, it's not realistic for them to win the Super Bowl. But do I think this is a team that could start out a little rough? Like looking at Tampa, first game, that's probably a loss. I'm going to call that. Home against the Giants. You saw we went 0-2 with the Giants. You could basically call that 50-50. At Cincinnati, week 3, this is a team that very easily could be 0-3, after 3 games. But is this a team you look further down at the list and you've got, home against Tennessee, couple of home divisional games. I think that's at New Orleans I'm seeing. Home against Atlanta. Could some of these games here in the bottom 6 or 7 turn into some surprising victories? Yeah, I think they could. Are playoffs on the card, in my opinion? No. But could this team start out slow and get some good momentum to where maybe they end up 6-11, 7-10, 3-4 win improvement over last year? Good rookie seasons from some of these draft picks we talked about, some of the players starting to gel together. Yeah, I think that would be a very good season given everything that's happened.
You know what? I like that. I like the nice optimism. Screw it, man. This is optimism. I like it. We're getting some optimism. And you know what? You're right. Why not? When you have a new regime, why not be positive? Why not? When you have a brand new everything going on, why not? We don't know what's going to happen. So why not just be positive about it?
Yeah. And you get the benefit of how many expectations do the Commanders have this year?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zero. They have 0 expectations. There's 0 pressure to them to perform. Honestly, it's a great situation for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are like, wait, we're not expected to win any games? Okay, I'm just gonna go out there and do what I can, man. Let's no pressure.
It is so true. It is so true, man. I'll tell you right now, this is a team that could surprise some people this year. I don't know, but it's pretty something to be excited about. So, Mike, we've reached that segment, man. You know it. I know it. We all know it. there's 3 other teams in this division. Obviously, the Cowboys, Eagles, and the Giants. And, well, you feel a certain way about them, and it's all good because the rivalry always runs freely. So, Mike, 3 other teams in this division. You talked about how you think the Commanders are going to do this year. How do you think those other 3 teams are going to do? And obviously, as we always like to do, sprinkle a little bit on top and let us know how you really feel. So, Mike, without further ado, stick it to them.
Well, the Giants don't scare me in the slightest. Look, they're still clinging to Daniel Jones. I don't know if it's a pride thing at this point or, something with the GM, or maybe he's got blackmail on the owner. Who knows? But the fact that they're still sticking with Daniel Jones, I will take Jaden Daniels over Daniel Jones 10 times, 7 days of the week and twice on Sundays. All right. So don't scare. No more Saquon. Their best playmaker is going to be a rookie. When no disrespect to Malik Neighbors, I think he could come in and be very good right away. But what nothing on this team scares me outside of Malik Neighbors and a couple of the guys on the defensive side. They went out and got a couple of good defensive players. I'll give them credit there. But they'll lose games, 10-7 as opposed to 14 or 21-7. So not scared of the Giants at all. The Cowboys, I don't think they've woken up yet still from the offseason. They lost more players than they signed. Their offensive line isn't what it used to be. There's one guy on the offense that actually scares me, and that's CeeDee Lamb, and I think that's understandable. He scares a lot of people. And then on the defensive side, there's a couple of guys that scare me, but one or two things happen to this team and their depth, and it just starts to collapse. And, Dak Prescott, speaking, we talk about the Commanders with zero expectations. Talk about a guy who's got all of the pressure on his shoulders and all of the expectations to perform. How is he going to hold up to that? Is he going to, thrive under it, or is he going to, crumble because the front office didn't really do a great job of putting him in place to succeed? Their running back room is Rico Dowdle, who hasn't had more than 400 rushing yards in a season in his career. Deuce Vaughn, who the only way he will succeed is because people can't see him behind the line of scrimmage because he's so short. And the ghost of Ezekiel Elliott's past is their running back room. So Dallas is a team, they've got all the expectations in the world. Everybody's on the hot seat, and they're a recipe for a collapse. A recipe. You look at all of the parts come together, that's something that could happen. The Eagles scare me. They concern me. I'm not going to lie. I can't really talk a lot of crap about them, mostly because their defensive line is filled with scary, scary players, and that concerns me greatly. Plus, like I said, one of the weaknesses of the defense, they go out and they use their first 2 draft picks on arguably 2 of the top 5 defensive backs in the whole class. So, let's just let them fix that. And my only glimpse of hope is that with Jason Kelce retired, the offensive line is not as good, hopefully, which gives us a little bit of an opportunity. And also, they fumbled a little down the stretch. As Jalen Hurts, he's a guy who had a lot of success in college, and he had a lot of early success with the Eagles in the league. How is he going to handle, that level of adversity now that, the expectations are, wait, you're supposed to be taking this team to a Super Bowl. Why are you going 11-6 and getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs? So again, another team with very high expectations, but I think their potential for collapse is probably a little bit less. But yeah, Giants don't concern me, not concerned at all. Cowboys, very little concern. Are they going to beat us? Probably once. Yeah, heck, they might even beat us twice. But I'm not worried about that. I don't think this team's going to do anything. And then the Eagles, okay, let me not stick it to them too hard because I don't want the big scary men on defense to.
Jalen Carter, just some absolute monsters on that defensive line. So yeah, I agree. But dude, what way to stick it to him, man? Good stuff there. I'm telling you, this is a fun season. Because once again, we don't know what we're getting with the Commanders at all. And they can come out and surprise everybody. I mean, didn't that just happen with the Texans? So I mean, things happen, So, dude, that was freaking awesome. Thank you so much. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, give him a follow at Let's Wine _IESR. Catch him Friday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Some days like this, like today, he'll be on it. Today, Saturday, which this isn't today. This is Wednesday, this is Tuesday's show. So, we get all turned around doing his interviews over the weekend. But yes, so occasionally on Saturdays, catch him at 9 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, Let's Whine About DMV Sports with a nice, tasty alcoholic beverage. Drink responsibly always. And does a really good job with that on Let's Whine About DMV Sports. And getting on into his DMV Sports, man. Show him some love at Let's Whine right here. Let's Whine _IESR. And also, man, the blog, IESportsRadio.wordpress.com. Also on IESportsRadio.com/blog. Show some love, man. Mike always does some great things, man. Any last thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? Just kidding. Anything else for the fans before we're out here, man?
Look, I'm excited for this season for the Commanders. I think they're a lot younger. I think they've got good potential. The main key to me is going to be everybody starting to come together and the health. Please, everybody, stay healthy. We all remember what happened the last time the Commanders drafted an athletic, scrambling quarterback with the second overall pick, who we were really excited about. We all remember what happened there. Let's hope history doesn't repeat itself. Stay healthy, no long-term injuries, and let's let this team grow together.
And let's see it happen, man. So excited for it. Let's go, man. Once again, that was Mike Pat. Dude, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. I really appreciate your time for the Ravens and for the Commanders. Once again, man, covering all things DMV sports right here, Friday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Let's Whine _IESR. Let's Whine About DMV sports. So with that said, you guys, that will do it for this show. Well, just kidding. For this segment. Now we have finished off. We started off in New York with the Giants. We headed on over to the nation's capital. Now we're headed on down to Dallas-Fort Worth. Oh, that's right. We are heading on down. We're going to loop around and head on down to that Dallas-Fort Worth area to talk with our very own Drewski of Heart of Texas Sports. We're talking Cowboys. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, NFC East Day. That's right. Overall, day number 6 of 8 divisions in 8 days. My goodness, a couple more days and we're done. Can't believe it. Crazy. But you are listening, of course, to 3 and Out right here at IE Sports Radio. Your direct view for all that is sports. We'll be coming back talking Cowboys right after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Whine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the Storming Hurricanes, the Battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Here we go, y'all. Start things off over in New York, talking with them Giants. Our boy Ricky K of New York State of Sports here on IE Sports Radio. Then we headed on over to the nation's capital because, you know, we had to go ahead and talk us some Commanders with our boy Mike Pat, talking all things DMV over there. Over in the DMV. So we had to talk about them, the Commanders. Now we just had to swing on down to the middle bottom of the country. Oh yeah, the star is there, as you can see. Oh my goodness, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had to swing on down to the DFW because it's about that time to get into them boys.
Yes, I can't help it. We them boys. It's that time of season. What's good, Larry B?
Man, I'm so glad you're on, man. Is your light flickering over there? You got the lights on?
Nah, it's just my hat probably going in for, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So that's probably why it's just affecting the light setting that way.
I'm telling you, man, every time loving the NFL blitz, man. Just loving all the goodies, brother. So, let's get it, man. So here we go, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to get ready to talk about these dang Cowboys, man. These Cowboys that have so many things going on, so many possibilities this year. And obviously, you know dang well I can't come and talk Cowboys with nobody else other than my boy, man, Drewski. Of course, you can check him out. Heart of Texas, right here, Heart of Texas Sports, Wednesday, of course. 7 p.m. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Check him out, man. Give him a follow here at Heart of Texas, IE. Also at Drewski Self-Made. He had a hell of a stream earlier, man. Check him out on YouTube, DFW Sports Raps. That's Raps with a Z. Show him some love, man. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I had to build him up, man. He's a future IE Sports Radio Hall of Famer. That's no doubt, man. It's just when his name gets on the ballot, that's all there is to it. Dude, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to have him here. Here we go with a late night one, but it's all good. Once again, talking to them Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen. It's Drewski. What's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Hey, man, battling a little bit under the weather, but you know what? That don't keep him from the grind, man. Football season, it's that time. We love it. Sick or regardless, hurt, injured, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to bring that flavor, man. And it's just that time of season. We got that itch. Let's go ahead and scratch it, man.
I'm getting it all over the place, man. It's football time.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. Brother. I'll tell you what, man. I know I'm gonna cry. The last time I ever suit up, I don't know when that's gonna be, but the last time I play that game, there's gonna be some tears. But I'll tell you right now, no matter what, I'll be 85 years old, and I'll still smell football. Here it comes.
That's how it goes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. It's late July. It's football.
Just the season change. Schools getting back into flex. NCAA came out with a new college football. It just seems like the football universe is actually treating us the right way, starting off this new season coming in. So it's a beautiful thing for sure.
Drew, I'll be real with you, man. My PlayStation, I think it blew up already and came back. I spent hours on that thing that I didn't think it could spend. So I'm team building. I'm doing I'm doing it all. Everything, all the settings, all
the grind, man.
All I can say is hurry up, Madden, so I can start drafting my classes.
Make it official like we all used to growing up, man. I miss them days for real.
Bro, exactly, man. That's what's going down right now. I'm waiting because I already got a class waiting right now. So we're trying to
damn, you've been moving through that thing.
I know it's kind of. I'm gonna stop talking about this because I'm gonna have to go to CFA, College Football Anonymous, pretty soon. I'm gonna have to,
Yeah.
they're gonna let me play for 5 minutes and then cut me off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Put a limit on that thing, limit restriction. Sure.
With that said, man, Drewski, these Cowboys, brother, I know last season was something. All right, last season was something. We can get into it here and talk a little bit about what went down, but bro, this was a season. And when I say that, it's I don't know, it's the hardest thing to try to get out because it was a good season, but the hard part about it is, especially with you Cowboys fans, man, yeah, it was a good season to other people. If this was the Raiders season, damn happy I'd be if this was the Raiders. But the thing is this has been your season for the last 10 years, and unfortunately, this season has been consistent for so long. You guys are like, all right, man, like we're, come on now, like come on, like stop it, like okay, when are we gonna get it? You know what I mean? This has to be the closest feeling, because I mean obviously us men don't know, but this has to be the closest feeling to like a woman who's trying to like get the question popped to her, but the homeboy, I guess he ain't asking,
He's not reading the room, he's not reading the assignment correctly.
Exactly, because yeah, she's really trying to get that ring on it, and he's just, hey, you trying to go Dairy Queen? Like,
I mean, for real. I mean, you trying to go to the skating ring or something like that? That is how the Cowboys are doing us. No question.
Drewski, it pains me, man. I mean, because look at this, man. 2-0 starting off the year. Okay, you knocked the dog shit out of both New York teams. Obviously, it's not very hard, but I mean, you done smacked the two New York teams to start the season off, which is kind of funny because I guess it's just kind of funny. Anyway, but then week 3 happens, and to this day, I still have no idea what happened. I watched that whole game, play every single play. I still have no idea how this happened. So that was a game that I guess, yeah. So on next to the next one, man. New England, I think you guys just got real frustrated with that. Took it out on New England. All right. The very next week on the road, man. That's my wife's birthday. Yeah, this was this was another one of those. But at least this was the Niners, a good, solid football team. But man, next up, a victory.
Close victory.
Yeah, you got a few of them, man. You got a nice one here on the road. Got one over the Chargers, into the bye week, went home, got a victory over the Rams, a tough, grinded out, unfortunate loss to the Eagles. And then y'all just went on a mean streak, man. Of course, started with New York. That's kind of funny. Regardless, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins, man, in a row. New York, Carolina, Washington, Seattle, and Philly. Then 2 tough losses, man. Buffalo, you all just didn't have an answer. I remember your tweets. You were just like, yeah, bro, like it ain't there tonight.
Ain't there, man.
Yeah. So that happened. And then a tough loss here to Miami on the road. But you did finish 2-0, man. 1 in Detroit, one at home versus Detroit, and on the road versus the Commanders. And then getting to the wild card. And bro, this was just, it was a disappointment, man. You guys, I think, had the Packers plenty of times in this game, but they just got away from you guys. And that's it, man. Another early exit. The question is still not popped. I mean, I don't know. Drewski, talk about last season, man.
Last season was just been what has been the last 2 seasons previously. Now, like I said, you're looking at a franchise that has had their most consecutive winning seasons in the last 3 years. I think this double-digit wins for the Cowboys consistently 3 straight years, I think, was only done in the early 90s. That's about as far as they have gotten there. And ever since 96, they haven't really had that type of consistency of winning in the regular season like that, starting in the 20th century. Now, you look over the season, the first 2 blowout games against the Giants and the Jets. I mean, the Jets, that game lost a little lackluster because, Aaron Rodgers did get hurt for a season-ending injury. So that kind of took a lot out of that. Now, Arizona, a lot went into that game. You go into practice, and that's where Trayvon Diggs, he ends up in practice having a non-contact injury coming down on a pass breakup, and he tears his knee. I think that did a lot of psyche to the Cowboys, and they came out flat, not ready to play. But give Arizona credit because this is not the first time they have done the Cowboys like this. I think they have won 7 out of the last 8 against the Cowboys. So the Cardinals just happened to be a terrible matchup for the Dallas Cowboys coming in. But then you get the New England Patriots with Mac Jones coming down there. Sorry, Mac Jones, but we had to handle you. They ended up getting some act right, and then they go to San Fran, and they just got bullied, took to the woodshed. It was just one of those games that you looked as a Cowboy fan, they're not going nowhere because the 49ers have been our kryptonite, basically. We haven't been able to get over the hump against them. Had they would have lost a close game, I think that would have felt a little bit much better, but they got blown out. That wasn't really good. And then you end up going into a Monday night against the LA Chargers in a game where you're facing your previous offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, who has, he has some new toys to play with over there in LA. But that game really came down to the wire, and it was just important for the Cowboys to make sure they just come through with a victory, knowing that they had a bye week the next week. And then after that, the Rams came down to town. Now, that Rams team we saw in week 8 wasn't the same team that finished the season. Matthew Stafford did end up getting hurt while he was trying to go in for a 2-point conversion. That ended up taking him out the game. And, I mean, the Cowboys they ended up taking flight after that. That tough loss against Philly, it's one of those games that you see on the road. They had their opportunities to win. They just couldn't cash in. Those games against Philly normally splits the home team's favor. You know what I'm saying? So that is kind of seen. But like you say, they pull off 5 straight weeks. Now you can say the talent, the level of team, because you end up beating the brakes off the Giants. But then you struggled against a Carolina team where it took a few miraculous plays for you to actually get over the hump and pull away in that game. That game was tight all the way to the fourth quarter. So they had to do some things to pull away. And, of course, you had Washington Commanders come down here Thanksgiving where DeRon Bland had his historic NFL record with his 5th pick 6 in that game. I got it on video. Make sure you check it out. That was just a beautiful moment. They ended up taking care of Washington. Now, that Seattle game, that Thursday night game, which I was in attendance for, and I got it on video, that game was a playoff game if I ain't never seen it. And what upset me, I'll mention this when I get to the Green Bay wild card game. But that game, it had your heart stuck in your chest because you coming off a historic 5th pick 6 for DeRon Bland, and what do Seattle do? Seattle came right out and attacked DeRon Bland with DK Metcalf, and he had a Randy Moss type day against the Cowboys that Thursday night. Now, give DeRon Bland some credit. He kept battling, and he ended up still getting an interception later in that game that provided to be the spark. But give Dak Prescott and this offense credit. They ended up willing their way, and they ended up answering the call whenever it was needed in a tough affair that went on. And of course, you got the Philadelphia game. That game came down here. And like I said, the game really favors the home team. Cowboys did work at a time where the Eagles basically started going on a downward trajectory. So you kind of caught them slipping at the right time. And then you got the 2 road games. You go to Buffalo. And like you said, man, you look at the score. You would think Josh Allen had a party. That wasn't even the case. Josh Allen didn't even beat you because I think he threw 7 passes and completed 4 of them. And you still got ran off the field. That was the problem. That was the alarming sign coming forward for the Dallas Cowboys as we get to the end of the season. But they couldn't stop the run. James cooked. He cooked all over us. And, it was just a bad showing for the defense. And then you get to Miami. In a game they actually had won. Now, they tried some new things, got in goal line formation. This is where they missed the physicality at running back, but they tried to get in from the 1-yard line on a handoff to Hunter Lupick, which it was a fumble exchange. That happened. That set the Cowboys back, but Dak was able to deliver and give the Cowboys the lead, only for the defense to basically give up the rest of Tua Tagovailoa, and that was that. So then they go on their 2-game losing streak, a game that they really could have won, and that could have trying to change the seeding for them. Then you get Detroit for the 2nd year in a row down here. Now, that game was a playoff game as well. as I was in attendance for that game. And man, it was almost a riot that happened in that game. Very close game. For the last 2 years, it's actually been a close game. This game, there was some questionable calls by the referees that really messed the Cowboys out of momentum. But then the Lions go down there and they do everything. They tried to get too cute, bringing in extra offensive linemen, trying to confuse the referees and the Cowboys, only to have a player be ineligible that ended up catching the touchdown. Or it was a 2-point conversion, actually. So they had to redo that. Cowboys hold firm. They get by the skin of their teeth, winning by 1 point. And then, of course, you ended with the rivals in D.C. And, that's basically Cowboy East right there. We did our thing right there. Now, it leads you to the wild card spot. Now, everybody's saying the Green Bay Packers were the first 7 seed to upset. Bro, this was the first year that they even had a 7 seed. So, I mean, damn. That don't really say much. But, like I said, that game against the Bills, to me, felt like Matt LaFleur took that same game tape, and used it against us. Because Jordan Love got paid. He got paid his money. But I recall Aaron Jones, I think he still scored. I think he just scored again in AT&T Stadium. That dude had 3 tutties. Every time he see the Cowboys, he run roughshod on. The run game really killed the Cowboys. Their penalties killed them on top of them not coming out ready to play. I thought me personally, the Seahawks game and the Detroit game had these dudes battle tested. They kind of saw playoff atmosphere. And I went to that game, and I mean, it was 19-degree weather that day with a wind chill of like 11 degree with like 11 miles per hour wind chill. So it was like 9 degrees in that thing. So walking to that stadium, boy, I don't think my mustache ever recovered, because I do have this ritual where, I get to the parking lot, I drank the first beer, and then on my way walking, I drank the second one. Man, that second one, I should have drunk in the car, because I'm trying to drink that outside, pull down my mask. Boy, it was freezing to my mustache, and it got slushy. So it was like,
oh no,
it was one of them type of cold atmospheres. And then it got colder when the Cowboys basically came out flat and got ramrodded. And it was a colder walk back to the car. I'll put it that way. So, but you hate to see it, but it's just the same story with the Cowboys. What you have saw when it matters the most, the star players and just the team coaching, all that in general, it fails to show up when it matters the most. Now, regular season, I would still take 12 wins in a regular season anytime. Like I said, you got to get to the playoffs before you can either choke in the playoffs or have success in the playoffs. You got to actually get there. So this is just something that they got to get over the hump with. And I believe more times than not, and a lot of their losses in the last 3 years have been they do not come out ready to play damn sure offensively. And that speaks to the head coach and the quarterback, because they are basically the ones that have the pulse of the team. So that's kind of my review in a nutshell, what they got last season. But now it's a new season. We're moving forward.
Exactly. Let me just go ahead and throw this out there, guys. Again, please follow this account, Drewski Self-Made. All right, check it out. He does a lot. He'll throw stuff over here too. At Hard Texas IE, of course, and trust me, YouTube right here, DFW Sports Drive. If this is your first time ever listening into this show, or he's at these games, you guys.
Yeah,
goes like. Yeah, you don't even know, man. Drewski does messes up and works, 17 hours a day. I don't even think that's massive.
Hey, them tickets cost, man. So hey, I gotta make right. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, trust me, guys. So make sure you give this man a follow, because he does it, man. Yeah, you want some stuff? Oh, he gives it to you, man. So getting on in to this off season, Drewski, come on, man. I mean, this was one of those off seasons that. I mean, a lot of things happen. Okay, I'm just going to address the very first thing I want to address. And I know I always say this all the damn time, but look, man, I don't even care. Playing against Tyron Smith in high school, knowing that he was a damn machine, knowing that wherever he was going to go, he was going to be special. I'm a Trojan fan. He went on to USC. He became, from a rival, he became somebody I cheered on. You know what I mean? It really wasn't a rivalry, but you know what I mean? Like, I cheered him on. you knew he was gonna do something, and it was gonna be something big. All right, so obviously gets drafted, goes to the Cowboys, balls, does his thing. The injury bug starts to become a thing, and unfortunately, this offseason, man, I hate it. I hate this so much, but he's headed on over to the Jets. I have no idea. I haven't really kept up with it from this point in time. I don't know. I mean, obviously, he should be starting. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, he's okay and he's not injured or anything, but the long, I mean, my gosh, he was with y'all for what, like 13 years, something like that. It was a long time he was with you guys. And then unfortunately, just that's going to be it. But other than that, man, there were some other departures. I mean, well, obviously, you guys had a reconstruction here of Zach Martin, of course, another one of your big boys on the offensive line. But yeah, man, there was a lot of different things going on, man. Releasing Martavis Bryant, let's see here, Tyron Johnson. You guys had here, let's see. Oh, this Mike Zimmer, defensive coordinator now. I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces. Obviously, here's the draft. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But it was kind of a quiet offseason.
Nah, it wasn't kind of. It was a quiet offseason.
Yeah, I still hear the crickets. But the one thing that just hit me was this Tyron, obviously. Like I said, but with that, Drewski, if you have anything to say about it, because, I mean, obviously there's really not much to talk about. But aside from the draft, what were your thoughts on the offseason?
Yeah, the offseason, man, it started when Jerry acted like he was mad about the playoff loss, and I think Jerry did his own undoing, mentioning the words all in. We're all in and just for them to make like 2 offseason moves. Like, bruh, I don't get it one bit. Let me just get into a lot of the departures that you had. I mean, Tyron Smith, future Hall of Famer. It's not even a question. Should be first ballot. That man been playing at a young. I think he came into the league. I mean, he was in college as a youngster, and I think he came into the league before he was really 20. So, I wish him nothing but the best success going over in Gang Green over there in New York. Nothing but success for him. You lost Tyler Biadasz. You lost Dorrance Armstrong. You lost Dante Fowler. You lost a lot of pieces, and a lot of those. And on top of that, you lost your defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn. But most of these pieces that you lost are right in your division in Washington. So it's like Washington is basically Cowboys East that we're going to see twice a year with damn near, a good percentage of the former Dallas Cowboy players. Now, in the offseason, they did make a move to get Eric Kendricks, linebacker signing, a dude who is from, I think he's a 11-year veteran. He's spent most of his time with Minnesota under Mike Zimmer. So you're as you had Leighton Vander Esch, who did retire from medical issues,
yes,
which we kind of seen this coming.
Yeah.
We wish him nothing but the best as well, man. Take care of yourself. It kind of remind me of Travis Frederick as well. You see your career kind of gets cut short out of your control just because you have this health issue and you want to go ahead and take care of your health first. So Leighton Vander Esch, him retiring hurt the linebacker room. So you had to get another guy in here that is a veteran that can basically tackle as well. But you got a guy that can lead this defense because he's played in Mike Zimmer's defense, I think, for 9 years, I believe. So you got a guy who's out there comfortable and knows what Mike Zimmer expects out of his defense, and a lot of looks in disguise that you're going to get. I'm not too bad about that. They retained Al Harris, made him assistant coach, basically, assistant head coach. I like that move, keeping him because he has to develop these DBs from Trayvon Diggs also to DeRon Bland. I mean, like I said, Trayvon Diggs, when he got picked, it was still iffy because he's a receiver trying cornerback. So, and then to get what you got from DeRon Bland, a 5th-round pick, I must add. I mean, both of these dudes since 2021 has been picking off balls, and that's credit to what Al Harris has did. The draft, I will say they did their needs the way they wanted to. Tyler Guyton at left tackle. You knew you needed another left tackle if you're going to keep Tyler Smith at guard, which I thought they would move Tyler Smith more to tackle, but if the availability is there, this one thing I will say for the Dallas Cowboys, their drafting of offensive linemen has far more hit than miss. So I can relay on Will McClay and this organization with offensive linemen that they draft. They drafted Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. They went and got Marshawn Nealon. You know, they went and got Justin Rogers. They tried to address their defensive tackle issues. After last year, they did draft Mozzie Smith. I don't know what the situation was with him, but he came in as a run stopper, and all of a sudden, during the middle of the season, I guess during Dan Quinn's request, they wanted him to drop weight to play faster, which didn't make no sense because that's not why we drafted him. So you had that type of issue going, and he's recovering from off-season shoulder surgery. So you had that going on, and on top of that, you're going into the offseason and this training camp. I mean, you look at the draft, what they got. Like I said, Justin Rogers was in there. They went and got another offensive tackle in Nathaniel Thomas. Ryan Flanor has been real good up in camp. They really like him. He's actually battling injury right now. He's going to be day-to-day, but he's been actually improving in camp while CeeDee Lamb is holding out, which this is another story about the Cowboys offseason coming in. I mean, it's just drama, man. If Max wants to, I mean, they're doing a Netflix special on Jerry Jones. They just need to have this thing over the Cowboys because it's must-watch TV if you're into some soap opera drama. But on top of that, you go into this season with your head coach being on a 1-year deal, on the last year of his deal. Mike Zimmer, your new defensive coordinator, is on a 1-year deal. CeeDee Lamb is holding out for a new deal. Dak Prescott is playing on the last year of his deal. And now Michael Parsons, who actually, he still got like 2 years and a third-year option left on his contract. He's wanting to get some money. So Cowboys have been playing around with the salary cap, and I think they had in mind that letting go of a lot of the players that they let go. I mean, they let go of Tony Pollard as well. You know what I'm saying? They let go of a lot of pieces in their mind to say, look, in Jerry's words and Stephen Jones' words, when they started training camp, they lost a lot of players. They didn't add a lot of players, but they stated out their own mouths, on this field, they still have at least 12 Pro Bowlers out there. So the talent is still out there. The depth has just taken the hit, and losing all the Tyler Biadasz, the Tony Pollards, the Tyron Smith, you know, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, losing all those guys is just really the Cowboys saying, look, we believe with what we got inside, and we're just trying to make sure we have enough capital room to go ahead and get CeeDee Lamb taken care of and Dak Prescott, which the contract talks have been going on between them. There has been contract offers from the Cowboys organization to both said parties, from CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, it's a little bit more muddier than what it is, but CeeDee Lamb, I think he'll get taken care of and get extended at least by the first preseason game against the Rams or after. The sticking point right now that's holding against them, it's not too much of how much he wants to make a year, but he wants to have a great lump sum of guaranteed money. So right now, that's the negotiating part. And that's all you can ask for right now if you're the Cowboys. At least get in there and talk. Y'all actually negotiate. They're actually in communication talks. Dak is being a good trooper. I think, honestly, Dak, in my opinion, is saying get CD done first. Get CD done first, and then we'll come back to the table and we'll do something. I got to mention this before we get off this subject, talking about the offseason. I mean, I talked about Trayvon Diggs getting that injury week 3, ACL injury. Not to mention before that, the third preseason game, your third rounder and out of Texas linebacker, Demarion Overshown, he suffers a torn ACL in the third preseason game, in the basically preseason finale that made him miss the season. And to start off the training camp today, basically couple days before you get into padded practice. Now, the Cowboys let go of Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler because they believe in Sam Williams. They believe Sam Williams is going to make that jump in his third year. Only for him to be in a special teams drill, go down on non-contact, and the MRI came out today that he will miss the season as he has suffered an ACL and MCL tear. I mean, Cowboys just can't have nice things.
I'm sorry.
Man.
That happened?
Yeah, man. That happened today. That's why, sick or hell or high water, sick or not, I had to give me some content in because I'm like, bro, this you got to be kidding
I'm sorry for the moment of silence. I'm at a point right now where I'm not quite sure where my next word should even come from. Like, golly, man. I'll tell you
That's
right.
a lot of off-season drama. You know, if you want drama, I gave you a quick spill of it, real quick.
The Cowboys don't need to be playing on Sundays. They don't need to be playing on Thursday nights. They don't need to be playing on Monday nights. They need to be playing on Monday through Friday at about 11 o'clock on CBS because this is a soap opera. Oh,
I'm
my
telling you.
gosh. Like, yeah, the days of them boys. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, young in the ringless since 1996. I mean, what do you want to call it? Like, we could find a name. Like,
Man, just get me to the Final Four. I done witnessed. You see everybody in the background, including the Dallas Wings, the last 2 years, at least been to the Final Four. These dudes can't even get there. I mean, come on now. Y'all supposed to be the standard around here in this city. Everybody done overlapped them, as far as success going on.
Hey, man, let's just call it what it is. TCU's been to a national championship.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, come on now. Come on, Cowboys. Y'all got to do something, man. Everybody's touching success but y'all.
Yeah, I mean, history was made just a couple months ago. I mean, you're right. Mavs and the Stars both. I mean, playoffs, deep playoff run. It's true, man. The Cowboys, it's hard, man. I love it, though. You went over the draft. You went over everything, man. That was great. I didn't even have to do it. That was nice. I appreciate that. But I got to tell you, Drewski had some stuff to let off tonight. He really did, man. But Drewski, I just got to tell you, man, like, look, you've been saying this the last couple of weeks on the show. And, yeah, I guess the more I'm thinking about it, this is it. Dak has 16 more games or 17 or whatever the hell the number is now. Okay. Well, I mean, at this point in time, brother, it's either you're going to continue throwing the ball for us or you're going to thank you very much. Good.
And to that statement, like I said, the Cowboys are in a situation because they have no leverage with Dak Prescott. If Dak Prescott walks, he gets paid from somebody else. And to start 2025, he's still going to take a cap hit of the Cowboys of $40 million. So he's going to win. He's going to come out winning regardless. So now it's just up to the Cowboys. Me personally, how do you rebuild and try to get another quarterback when your first year you're going to be eating $40 million automatically? And like I said, call it for what you want. You can say he folded in the playoffs, but in the division right now, you have Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, a rookie, and you got Daniel Jones. Dak is people. Well, Jalen Hurts got an NFC championship. Look, that's all cool, but let's just talk about a body of work straight coming into this season. Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the NFC East, and it really ain't even close.
No, it's not. I mean, and I think everybody else can admit that. If the other three teams can definitely admit that. It's just they'll admit it, but then follow it with, "But what has he done?" You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
and I can't defend that. I can't defend that. But only thing I can say is he retired Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time.
I remember that. That was crazy, man. Look, man, I'll tell you right now. So they still would owe him $40 million.
Oh, he would still be on the books of $40 million in dead cap money.
Who is he? Josh Hamilton? I'm sorry. I guess I had to say
Oh, man.
The
Angels. Lord, Josh Hamilton, man.
The Angels are still paying him money right now. He gets a check from
the Rangers have a history of doing that because they did A-Rod like that. Then they did Josh Hamilton. Oh, Lord, man. Don't even. And I'm already upset with these Rangers as it gets. So, I mean, it's just all bad.
Yeah, I guess the shift, the momentum of sports, man. I guess this. Oh my goodness.
In the words of Jerry Jones, he used this word a lot in his press conference. There's a lot of ambiguity going on.
Oh, here we go. He's okay. See, this is what he says stuff like that because he doesn't know what else to say. I mean, I don't know, man. I'll tell you right now, you guys, it's true, man. He's cheap. I didn't even notice how cheap he was. Like, it's funny, man. Obviously, Bishop, one of the hosts of This Is KC Sports up there in Mizzou, man, covering along with the franchise, of course, Brandon, our Kansas City Sports, man. He was cracking me up one time before Brandon even started the show. This was like I think it was last offseason, man. He was over here talking about Veach, how cheap he is. He was like, yeah, see, man, don't get me wrong. He's like, I love my players. You know what I mean? He's like, but when we got free agency going on, he's like, oh, that's actually earlier this year. He's like, we got free agency on. Veach is over here like, he paused for a second. He was like, okay, you know when you're in the car on your way home and you're hungry and you're a little kid and you're like, McDonald's, I want some McDonald's, Mom. And then your mom turns around and says, we got McDonald's at home.
Facts.
He said, that's Veach. He's like, oh,
it ain't no McDonald's at home. It ain't nothing but bread and cheese and a bologna.
That's McDonald's. Exactly. And it was funny because he said that was Veach. He was like, hey, man, we want to try to get like any running back out there. Nope. No, Veach is like, nope, we got that player.
We got that in there already. Jerry is that this organization has been, they believe in their draft picks. They believe in their ways. And I mean, it's hard to argue just because the last 3 years, now you're looking at the last 29 years, it hasn't got you to success where you need to be. But over the last 3 years, it damn sure has worked for them. They just coming up short.
It's the truth, Drewski. I mean, I guess, look, man, I'm not going to sit here and step on the Cowboys because the Cowboys there's so much there. It's just, gosh damn, put it together. I mean,
and that's all it is.
That kills me because the big man had so much hype coming in and I was hoping for him and now he's just hurt. You know, I mean, it's just like, come on, guys. Like, CD Lamb, you're right. He's over here holding out. Nobody knows what's going. He don't even. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. It's all these things going on. I just, oh my gosh. And to think y'all would have went after a running back because Pollard, another running back. But once again, hey, Austin Eckler. Hey, we got Austin Eckler, man. Jared Jones. No, we got Austin Eckler at home.
I mean, shoot. I take anybody. But I was calling on the show when I'll be doing Heart of Texas. I was like, don't be surprised you see Zeke back in uniform because they would have still paid for his contract anyway. They were still eating dead money. So I was like, Zeke is going to come back. And that's them basically saying they covered the running back room. And that's basically what they did.
Wow. Drewski.
Man.
It's getting late, brother. And I'm not trying to raise your blood pressure before you go to sleep, man. I'm
going to take me some more meds and I'll be knocked out anyway. So it's all good.
I guess Becky Shucker, you're going to hit me up tomorrow, man. I didn't even sleep till 12 o'clock. I was over there like a drink cup of coffee. I was all pissed off.
Hey, you know, Cowboys do that to you for sure.
So, Drewski, obviously there's this segment at the end. You've done it before. Oh, boy. Have the others have some stuff to say in the other three teams. So I'm just saying, you know, you got to answer back to these cats, man. Okay. So there's a little segment we have to call Stick It To Them here at the end. Yeah. And, well, you know how it goes, man. There's three other teams in this division that actually gets love to hate. The feeling is mutual, man. The Eagles, the Commanders, and them good old Giants that just love losing running backs and send them to rival teams. That's what the Giants do. So anyway, with that said, Brewski, you talked about the Cowboys and how you thought they were going to do the season. Let us know how you think those other teams are going to do the season. And obviously, you can sprinkle a little bit on top and tell us how you really feel. Without further ado, Drewski, stick it to them.
Hey, sticking it to them on this edition of 3 and Out, baby. This is Cowboy time. So y'all tune to the star. Y'all know what's happening. Let me address the New York Giants. Because last time I checked, I think we outscored them like 90-10 or something like that in 2 games. So, I mean, there's not too much to really even go about there right there. I'm just going to let the scores. They got 40 burgers put up on them twice. Okay. So, you know what you're in store for when you see the Cowboys come down there. And I still take Dak Prescott over Daniel Jones any day of the week, twice on Sundays for damn sure. And even on a Thursday if need be. So, that's what I got to stick to them. I think the Giants, they're still going to be fun. I will give the Giants this. Their defense, especially their defensive front, will be their specialty of their team this year. So if your offensive line ain't right, I think that's something in this division. If your offensive line ain't right, these defensive lines can actually get after your passers. So that's the positive I will give every other team in the division. But like I said, Giants, I mean, I think we still scoring on y'all. So I understand why y'all don't like us right now. We outscored y'all. Like it wasn't even, the games was over at halftime. Like you could have really did something else and did something with the family. That's that. Let me bring it to the Washington Commanders because now y'all all pumping y'all chest out. Y'all talk so much trash about the Cowboys and their players and their coaches just for y'all to hire their coaches and get their players. So tell me what it is. Are we trash? Because if we trash and y'all take our leftovers, our real, I don't even want to say trash, but if you're taking some of our cast-offs off, what does that say about y'all? Okay, and last time I checked, we put up 38 or 35 plus points against y'all in both games last year too. So, I mean, there's really nothing much there to say about y'all, but y'all really trying to steal our persona, steal our, right now, it reminds me how Big felt about Tupac. Tupac felt about Big. Dang, man, I used to give these dudes everything, let them touch, and now they trying to battle me with my own style. How? So we got to show y'all we the originators, the OG of this. So y'all going to belong in that same spot with the Giants. But for Washington, like I said, their D-line is just as good. It'll be interesting to see what the rookie Jaden Daniels do. So I think that has a lot to say what's going to happen with Dak, because if Jaden Daniels come in here and turns the franchise around, then I can see Dak. They're moving on from Dak and try to go ahead and rebuild. But Dak, to me, is still the best quarterback in the division. Now, to these filthy animals called Philadelphia Eagles. I don't like y'all, and I know y'all don't like us. That is actually a positive saying right there. I told you this every year is basically boiling down who can steal the home game away from the opposing team. If you look these last few years, the home team is winning every game. Now, when y'all came down to Dallas, we handled y'all. Y'all barely beat us when y'all was in Philly. We trying to sweep y'all out. We trying to pluck the feathers off y'all this year. So, hey, man, continue to keep hating us like you always want to. Just don't be mad when you keep seeing Dak Prescott outplay. Yeah, he got an NFC championship. He's been to a Super Bowl, but he's getting outplayed by a guy who can't get to the NFC championship game. Okay. That's what's going to happen to you. I'm not going to say it's going to be a sweep this year for the Cowboys, but I think this division is probably going to step back in time. Let me be like objective here. I think this division is going to go back to them earlier days where it went to the NFC least. I think a lot of these teams have flaws and problems. Even the Cowboys, they got flaws, but their defensive lines are good. It'd be interesting to see, but sticking it to the whole NFC East, like I said, Washington, y'all basically are y'all Washington Cowboys East. That's how we'll take it. Giants, I mean, bro, y'all just an invitational round to me. And then Philly, that is where we get in the ring and we get those two matches out the way. That is a heavyweight bout for me, and that's probably how I'm gonna stick it to them. But I look for us to be the last man standing. So that's how I'm sticking it to y'all, Dallas Cowboy style.
Ladies and gentlemen, Drewski, man, he said the Giants are on the NIT tournament.
Basically, I mean, I'm just going off of what happened last year. I mean, them games were over at halftime, bro. Like, for real. It was like playing on varsity mode. You know what I'm saying? You just running roughshod over these boys. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, man.
I'm sorry.
Hey, and if everybody been on that NCAA, I encourage my people to not try on Heisman first. You better play on varsity. And that's basically what the Cowboys was doing against the Giants and the Washington Commanders last year.
That's cold. That's cold. He said, no. He said, I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun with this. He said, hey. the Giants played the Trader Joe's Bowl.
All right, basically, you know what I'm saying? Hey, that's basically what it was. I mean, you can go back and look at the film. You go back and look at last year's 2-game films against the Giants, bro, and you're like, bro, I don't even want to watch no more. There's no purpose to even watch anymore.
They're playing in the I'm sorry. This is too good. Yeah,
had to stick it to him, man. Stick it to him.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you brought it. I wouldn't expect anything less. Man, oh my gosh, that was hilarious, man. He said, y'all playing in the Energizer batteries, brought to you by Kmart that don't exist no more.
You see what I'm saying? Hey.
I'm sorry.
If there were different results, I would have had a different sticking to them. But unfortunately, I can just only go off what was, off of last
year. Giants. Yeah. Anyway, man. Yeah, Commanders too, man. I guess. Oh no, but anyway, but it was been fun, man. Hey, check it out, y'all. Trust me, give this man a follow, man. At Heart of Texas, i.e. Drewski Selfmade. At Drewski Selfmade. Ain't that the same one for Instagram, right? Same one.
Instagram is it's Drewski,
It's Drewski,
which
of
you
course,
can see
on
it in the
Instagram.
background right there.
You guys see it over there, okay? Over there somewhere on the top.
Yeah.
And of course, man, check out his YouTube channel. He's had a great live stream earlier, man. This dude, he goes off, man. I'm so glad, so blessed, so happy to have him a part of this network, man. DFW Sports Raps, as Raps with a Z. Give him a follow, Drewski, man. Any last comments or anything before we're out of here tonight, man?
Man, sorry it's been late. Like you said, battling the weather, but content is always fun, especially when it's football time. Larry B, you always the man. Big salute to you anytime, anywhere, man. Holla at me, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. But hey, thanks again for everything. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this segment. But wait, we got one more. We're headed up from Dallas Fort Worth, going up to Philly.
Oh, hell no.
Philly next. We're going to Philly next.
Hell no.
To talk with Cash and Chris of the Philly Sports Talk here on IE Sports Radio.
Boo.
They're the last team up today. Drewski's are letting them know how he feels about them. So I'm with it, y'all. With that said, y'all, you are listening to 3 and Out 8 Division 8 Days, NFC East Day right here on IE Sports Radio. When we come back, y'all, we're talking Eagles right after this.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen B, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we go, guys. We started things off today over in New York, talking about them Giants with our very own Ricky K of our New York sports show, of course, New York State of Sports. Then we headed on over to the nation's capital to talk with our good buddy, Mr. Mike Pat, talking about his Commanders. You didn't have a glass of wine with him this time, but of course, tune in for Let's Wine About DMV Sports on Friday evenings. He will then. And then, of course, we headed on over down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area to talk with our very own Drewski of Texas Sports. And we talked all about them Cowboys. And now we have made our way right back up to the Northeast. And, well, here we are now in Philly, talking about those Philadelphia Eagles. And here with me today, I cannot tell you how freaking happy I am to get these guys here, because these are two busy dudes. So to get a little bit of their time, I'm very happy for that, man. These two right here are awesome. Before we even introduce them, please, Tuesday evenings, give these guys a follow. Of course, Philly Sports Talk, Philly Talk IE right here on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Of course, follow Mr. Chris Amos at Chris Amos right there. There you go. And, of course, Bobby Cash at Bobby Cash 215 or 215. I don't know how
215.
But I'll tell you, having these two guys on here is awesome, and they're going to help us finish off today's show talking about those Philadelphia Eagles. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Cash and Chris, welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Hey, it's still weird though. You went to New York, to Washington, and now we're in Philly. You got to go all the way to Dallas. Dallas just doesn't fit.
Right? It's
really, the Jets should be in the division, right?
Or the Steelers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Baltimore.
Don't get me going on that. I made a whole map on geographical. I mean, come on, guys. I'm sorry, history teacher. So my
You can put Carolina in there. It's still right there on the east, but still.
Thank you. The Cowboys should be with like the Cardinals and like the Broncos and the Chiefs or something.
But we know that's money because there's the rivalry with the Cowboys, all three teams. So
yeah, I'll tell you, guys, things geographically blow my mind. Kind of like Stanford and Cal in the ACC. I'm sorry. Oh, I hate it. 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 Anyway, so. Anyway, guys, glad to have you here. Let's get to it, man. I'm really, really excited for this because this division is a lot of fun to talk about. Golly, man. So let's go ahead and get into last season real quick. We'll make this snappy. Like I said, I know you guys are busy dudes, so we'll get on through this real fast and jump on into last season. So here we go, guys. Getting a quick recap here. So this was the Eagles. Yeah, how about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games straight over New England, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and Washington, and the Rams. Just went ahead and did the dang thing. Had a scary one versus Washington in week 4, but regardless, 5-0 start. Dropping their first game to the Jets of all teams. However, it is what it is in week number 6. After that, went right back on the terror, 3 games straight before the bye week. Took the bye week in week 10, a little bit of a later bye week. Then came right back out and got 2 more. And wouldn't you know it, that streak would end with an amazing Buffalo overtime victory at home. And then just as you guys were winning on winning streaks, you went a little bit of a losing streak here, losing to the Niners, the Dallas Cowboys, there you go, and Seattle. They're finishing on the road. However, snapping that losing streak would be a nice victory in New York, well, versus New York at home. But I'm not sure how these last 2 happened. Maybe they were just resting players, but Arizona and New York, 2 losses to end off season. But then you get to the playoffs, and this was just horrible. Went to Tampa Bay, 32-9 loss and the wild card, and that is all she wrote. Gentlemen, what was it like last year? Obviously, we listened to Philly Sports Talk all season last season, but for those who didn't, give us every raw emotion last year as Eagles fans.
We pretty much went over it. I mean, it was a 10-1 start, followed by a 1-6 finish. I mean, it was a kind of a slow collapse that you witnessed as the year went on, and we've talked about it on our shows a lot. I mean, it was nothing you really didn't see coming. They won a lot of games that they really shouldn't have won early in the year. And that Buffalo game was a prime example of it. But then it just got to the point where they couldn't stop anybody. Their defense couldn't stop a college team. Teams were just going up and down the field on them. And they fixed that. They've replaced both coordinators. And last year coming in, we did this show last year, a year ago, right now. I mean, and we were saying the same thing. We're going with 2 new coordinators, inexperienced coordinators, and the team just didn't adapt. I mean, it was bad. They had injuries. They had problems on the lines. They had a couple rookies on the defensive line that they flat out got burned out. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, they're big guys, and they weren't used to playing that many snaps, that many games, and they just couldn't. They couldn't do the 17-game schedule, and they wore down. They just wore down, and they were pretty much a beaten team. By the time they went to Tampa Bay, I think everybody in the league, everybody in Philadelphia, we had very little hope. We knew that was going to be a loss. I mean, it wasn't surprising.
Yeah, they weren't winning that game. They weren't going to win that game, and if they did, it wasn't going to matter because they weren't a contender at that point. It was something Bobby and I talked about each week because they would win, but we'd be like, this team, they're winning, but the flaws are going to get exposed, and they did. And
yeah,
it was painful as a fan to watch it. I mean, it really was. And there was always reports then later on in the season that there was a lot of internal turmoil going on. So but I guess that can go on any team, but it just seemed to be more prevalent because they kept losing down the stretch. And like you said, they were losing to teams that they should beat, like Arizona, New York, things like that. So
it was just bad.
It was something, man. It really was. I definitely told myself, like, the Eagles are going to be back in the bowl early in the season, and then the way it ended, I was like, "What the hell happened?" Like, that was, guys, that was crazy. So,
yep.
I mean, one of those things. What do you do? However, there you guys go. A little bit of last season, and now we can head on over to the offseason, guys. When you look at the offseason, there was a lot of moves made. You guys mentioned coaching, here we go again, and different things going on. Take a look at some of the transactions. Obviously, there were some big things. I mean, Aquara, you guys would sign early on. Let's see here. My gosh, re-signing. So Brandon Graham's coming back. You guys would release Avonte Maddox, releasing Kevin Byard. Get some moving pickups here. You guys would sign Zach Bond. Of course, we get into the draft here in April, but looking at some of these players before, Paris Campbell, he's coming on over. Let's see here. PJ Muster. I mean, Tyler Hall. Some of these players are coming on over, and cool. And then obviously afterwards, we see some of these players as well. John Ross, the former fastest man to run the 40. Devontae Parker. That's crazy. I didn't know he was on the.
He retired.
He retires. That's right. He did. So yeah, some of these things here, Perry Nickerson, some moves going on. We'll talk about the draft momentarily, but what were your guys' biggest transactions? Maybe your favorites and maybe your not so favorites of the offseason.
You didn't mention Saquon Barkley.
I was hoping you guys would. I don't want to mention the big stuff. I don't want to. I'm not stealing the show here, but yes, Saquon Barkley obviously comes on over from the New York Giants. How does that feel to have a rival running back run against those guys?
I'm fine with it if it's going to be successful and he's healthy.
Yeah, hopefully he can stay healthy and he still has that burst in him, and he could turn a 5-yard run into an 80-yard run, and take it to the house. I mean, that's something we haven't had in a long time, probably since Brian Westbrook. So I mean, it's definitely good to have a superstar running back along with our receiving core. We still have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They've been signed to long-term deals. Dallas Goedert kind of took a step back last year at tight end, so I'm hoping for a bounce-back year from him. Like
his injury didn't help either. Forearm.
And like you said, we have Paris Campbell. I mean, he's a question mark. Our number 3 receiver has been the question mark probably for the last 2-3 years. I mean, it's been interchangeable, and it just hasn't gotten any production. We tried to bring Julio Jones in last year, didn't work. We had Quez Watkins. He's now with the Steelers. That didn't work out. Like you said, they brought in John Ross. I don't know what to expect from him. They drafted a guy, Johnny Wilson. He's an interesting player, big guy, Texas A&M. So he might do some things. The big hole in the offense is, of course, losing Jason Kelsey. I mean, our captain, our center, held the whole team together. He's a guy that could make coaching changes on the field, on the fly. So missing him, losing him and having Cam Jurgens in there to replace him is going to hurt. From what I hear, though, Jason Kelsey's been spending more time at the complex than some of the players. He can't get away from it. He's still at the Eagles training facility every day. So who knows? He might turn into a coach. And like I've told some people that I know, I have a feeling he'll come back. I think 10 games in, he might say, "Let me do one more try." Yeah, especially if they're playing good, especially if they get out to like an 8-2,
or an injury to the center. I mean,
right.
then that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ask me anything or anyone's talked to me about the Eagles, yeah, I can go into depth on it, but all I say is it's a question mark. Just pick any part of the Eagles, from starting quarterback to the new running back to the wide receivers to the new coaches. Everything's a question mark.
It is. I mean,
so
I guess in an overall, is this it for Sirianni? If they take a step backwards, which means missing the playoffs?
That's a great question.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is pretty much his last chance.
Right? I mean, I would think so.
Yeah,
that's a tough way to go into a season.
It was probably 50-50. He got fired after this year. But I think Howie Roseman came in and he said, "I got to give him another shot." He hasn't missed the playoffs as a head coach, so I mean that's got to give him some a little bit of string.
Well, they just got to stop getting Tampa in the first round, because that doesn't.
I know.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this has been a fun little offseason. I'll tell you, man, it's true. You hit it both in the head. I mean, Kelsey leaving, that was rough. That was, the captain, really. That was the man. And then obviously though, Saquon Barkley coming on in, pretty cool. Let's see what he can bring. You guys, would spend the money, and hey, I mean, I think he's worth it. The Giants lost out, is what it is. They would say I don't know if you guys watched the Hard Knocks where they were like, test the market, that's fine. And he's like,
right.
Like
I saw that phone call. What were they doing recording that phone call? But I did see that.
Yeah, that wasn't a perfect phone call, was it, Bobby?
No, not at all.
Nowhere near perfect. So yeah, gentlemen, I mean, we have here the moving on into the draft, man. This draft was pretty good. I mean,
yeah,
look at this, man. Quinn Mitchell out of Toledo, bringing this guy in, man.
Super DeJean.
I mean, everybody loves DeJean, and this guy right here is. This dude, it could have been a first rounder easy coming out of Iowa. Dude is just a solid athlete. Alex Hunt, another one coming on from Houston Christian, a smaller school. This guy's coming on over.
He's one of those project guys, a guy that they, think they're going to bring along and develop.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And some of these guys as well. We have like Will Shipley, running back out of Clemson. Nice.
I like Will Shipley. Will Shipley he's like a mini Christian McCaffrey. He can catch the ball. He's a good player.
He's awesome, right? I mean,
yeah.
Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think you guys know who Jeremiah Trotter is. I think.
I think that was a name recognition pick, really.
It was.
He's undersized. I mean, I'm hoping he can make tackles like his father, but right now he's going to be second string. He might get some time on the field, but the Eagles have a lot of young guys on defense. Nolan Smith out of Georgia, Jalen Carter. Oh, they brought along Bryce Huff from the Jets.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, his thing is he only played 50% of the snaps last year. So coming here, like Chris said, another question mark. Another question mark. They paid him the big bucks. He came in. He's going to be the starter, and for that kind of money, he can't play half the downs. He's got to be out there.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Devin White from Tampa Bay. Another move that they say Tampa Bay fans say he's done. So. We did that last year with who's the guy we brought in from the Colts? What's his name? Halfway through the year. All pro linebacker. I'm drawing him.
Yes, that shows the impact he made. None of us can think of his name.
Yes, right. Oh my God,
Darius Leonard. It was Darius Leonard.
Leonard, you're right. Yeah.
So he was an all pro that was pretty much fried. He came in, he had nothing left. So I mean, I hope Devin White's not at that point, but from what I hear, he is. And then James Bradbury. James Bradbury is a guy that was getting burnt at cornerback last year. We're moving him to safety this year. So
interesting.
I know he's not a tackler, so I don't think that's going to work out.
If he's not a hitter, he has no business being back there.
No.
Safety.
I don't know what they're doing there. That guy couldn't tackle us. I don't. I don't see the point of even having him on the team. I think he gets released. I don't get it. I thought he was going to get released. They drafted Quinyon Mitchell. He'll be the starter. They still got Darius Slay, and they did bring him Avonte Maddox back. they waived him and brought him back. So I don't know if they've reworked his deal, but he'll be the nickel back. And they got Tyler Hall 3-3. They still got Sidney Brown floating. Sidney Brown's been floating around this roster for years. He never plays, but he's still on the team. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, but how? But the thing is, you're mentioning all those new and all those moving parts and things.
Yep.
Then you got to look at the coordinator. Fangio's there, and that's the biggest addition and moving part.
True. And all these guys I've gone over, there's not one guy that we could say we can count on him. Now, that's scary.
Yeah,
that's scary going into a season. Look at Brandon Graham, who you mentioned, Larry. He's the third string. I mean, he's going to be a rotation guy. I mean, he's going around the league one more time. There's no veteran on that defense that we can really count on. Maybe C.J. Gardner-Johnson, a guy who we brought back from the Lions. Maybe we can count on him a little bit. He's an interception guy, but big play guy. As far as safety, Reed Blankenship, James Bradbury, Sidney Brown, that's pretty weak. And we got Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers is a guy from the Colts who was suspended for gambling, who we brought in here. So he's fresh. Maybe we can get something out of him.
Wait, you can get suspended for gambling in professional sports, Bobby?
Yeah.
We'll cover that up more on Tuesday.
Not if your name's Ohtani, but
there you go.
Oh crap! Well, taking a look, guys, at this season, the offseason was something, man. I'm glad the draft was pretty solid for you guys, man. But taking a look here at this season, here it is, man. We are staring at the season. I mean, this is it. Looks like it is obviously the NFC East teams are in there, but the other teams, looks at the NFC South. Hey, that's going to be interesting because half of those teams, I don't even know if they're competitive realistically. And then you have the AFC North, which, well, you guys used to be known as the powerhouse division. Some people still consider this like a strong powerhouse division of the NFL. But, man, the AFC North, man, talk about that's a pretty strong division now. What are you guys thinking going into the season? Are you optimistic? Are you just like, oh, I don't know, like after what happened last year, your guess is as good as mine? What are you guys thinking for this season?
I can't say anything other than, if you want to talk about optimism, that's gone, because I think what happened last year is going to affect this year. If they start bad, which there's the possibility they could, well, that's the worst case scenario. If they start good, it's like, well, we saw this before and then it fizzled out. So what last year did, I mean, I guess for fans though, I mean, you can kind of put that out of your mind, but I just keep thinking back to it. And
you guys hear me?
Yep, Bobby, you're good.
We got you, Bobby.
And this starting in Brazil against Green Bay. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, seriously. That's gonna be fun.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that game, that should be something else. And did we get Bobby back?
Yes.
Bobby's back.
Thanks. A call came in and just muted everything.
That craziness, man. You gotta love it, all right? But Chris was just talking about the game in Brazil to start the season off, man. How you feeling about that?
I'm looking at it now. I was going to mention that. I don't like the fact that the Eagles lose a home game because of that. I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I have the schedule up, and it's funny. It has the ticket prices for each game. Tickets for that game are starting at $851, and that's American money. That's crazy.
Does that include the flight?
Yeah, it should include a hotel room and a flight.
My goodness.
I don't think that's if we're talking W's and L's, I don't think that's a win. I think Green Bay is a team on the rise, and Jordan Love's just going to pretty much carve our defense up because we're not going to be ready for a team like Green Bay that's had a year to play together, and they pretty much bring back their whole team. I think they're a team that goes really far. I think they're a team that's going to be in the NFC Championship game.
Can I say something real quick? We got 19 minutes and 35 seconds into the show, and we haven't said the name Jalen Hurts once.
Well.
But you were talking about Jordan Love, and I'm thinking to the other side of the ball. It's like, we haven't even mentioned that guy. Guess what? Another question mark.
It's true.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I love him to death. But my gosh, I think he's a hell of an athlete. But it's true. I mean, is it
Exactly.
is it?
Well, let me ask you, Larry. You don't watch him play every week. I mean, you probably see him play, but you don't watch every down. I'm sure of the Eagles like we do. What do you think of him on the outside? You see him as what? As a pocket passer or an athlete, like you said?
I see him as a definite athlete. He's a guy that will throw the ball when he wants to, but he's looking to run. That's all there is to it. He's snapping the ball, and his first option, he's going to look, go. That's what I see.
And that's when they went to the Super Bowl with him. That's what was so effective. The design runs, they were so effective. Him going into doing the sweeps either way, left or right. It was 8 yards, 9 yards. It was guaranteed, and they stopped. They stopped doing that last year with Brian Johnson. I get it that they paid him all this money and they want to preserve him, but that's not his game. His game is with his legs, making the defense respect that, and then that opens up the passing game. If you only have to look at Jalen Hurts as a passer, he's a lot easier to prepare for and a lot easier to play against.
Well, does the addition of Saquon Barkley? I mean, it looks like in my mind he's the new toy that they're going to try out for the first few games, and if it's working, how much does that affect the fact that the wide receivers aren't getting the balls that they want? Or if it's working, do the Eagles go away from it like we've seen them do before because they really don't want to be considered a running team? So it's that Joseph Heller book. It's Catch-22.
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily Saquon's a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can use him, just not as the running game. He's a 3-down back. He'll be out there all the time. The thing is, I think they have to be careful not to overuse him because he's not a young guy anymore. Mm-hmm. I think they have to spread. I don't think the 25 to 30 touches a game is going to work, especially over a 17-game schedule. That's way too much.
You think Gainwell gets 5 to 7 a game? Maybe.
I think he has to.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe Shipley. If Shipley can show that he can catch the ball out of the back, but the Eagles don't really run a screen passing game, which is really Saquon's go-to thing. They have to incorporate that into the offense this year.
It's so true. It's so true. And I mean, it's really crazy when you see this is why I love that conversation of getting caught up in, well, why do for instance, when a football fan who's just getting into the sport or something, or they're starting to watch both college and the NFL. Well, that looks really cool. What's that? Well, the play where the quarterback runs and then pitches out to the run. Oh, the option. Well, why are they playing NFL? Because you can't.
Because the defense is too fast.
Correct.
What about that one play where the running back's just back there? There's no quarterback, and they just snap it to him and he takes off. Oh, the Wildcat. Yeah. Why don't they do that a lot in the NFL? They did until it got stopped by everybody. And
exactly.
Obviously, you can't do that either. Well, why can't you do that? And that's really stupid. I've had this conversation before, and I'm like, well, it's very simple. In college, you have a couple stars, and then you have the other guys. Right. In the NFL, you got defensive linemen that are, 6'3", 6'4", 270, 80, 90 pounds, and they run a 4.7, 4.8.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. You're not going to run around and pitch the ball. No.
Right. And there's a thing called holding.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously there's some things that you can't do. So I think this is a great discussion of how do you do it? Can you really design those crazy? I mean, Andy Reid seems to have it. I mean, I think you guys know a thing or two about Andy Reid, just a little tiny bit in the past. So how do you do it? How do you get those plays that involve guys like Jalen Hurts at that elite level? I mean, do you get 3 more Jalen Hurts to do? I mean, how does that work? How do you make that kind of dude? Because I mean, obviously we had Michael Vick, we had Donovan McNabb, we had these running dudes from 20 years ago. We had Tarkenton, Fran Tarkenton. That's older than
Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham. Okay, look at that. I mean, yeah, my gosh, and Randall Cunningham was playing when I was about 4 or 5. So yeah. Yeah, that's when they had those brighter looking colors. What do they call that? What the hell do they call that green?
Kelly green.
Kelly green, yeah.
Kelly green. Yeah. It's like Chris's hat. That's when they look like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but once again, how do you do it? And that's the hardest part. So this is why a lot of people say, no, just get the traditional pocket passer because he's going to find his guys. But I don't know, man. I think Jalen Hurts makes it work. To the point, though, to where sometimes, I don't know, man, it's a very complex issue when it comes to that. But now you see more guys doing it. Everyone's starting to take off now. So I don't know. What do you guys really think about that?
Well, you need an athletic offensive line to run these plays. To run these screen plays and these get out of the pockets type of things. And you got to give a guy time. I mean, if any quarterback doesn't have a good offensive line, is not going to succeed in the NFL. And you saw that with Bryce Young last year. He was just had no time. He had no chance to do anything. As far as stretch plays and all, it's all design. It's all coaching. And Jalen Hurts he's complained about this. I think I say it all the time. He hasn't had the same offensive coordinator 2 years in a row in any level of football.
Well, and what Larry said before too is I don't know how you break that mentality where instead of going to check down 2 and 3, you run. When the first, if AJ Brown's double teamed, okay, and what, you can't go to Devontae Smith, you can't go to Dallas Goedert. I mean, he's taken off to run,
right.
And once you see that that's the pattern, I mean, I think at some point that kind of deflates the wide receivers, and then it deflates the offense, and you go 1-6 down the stretch and losing the play.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, that really is it. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, my gosh, I don't know, where is football going? Where, what direction are we headed? I mean, because once again, we just talked about before we got on air, the hip drop tackle is now. I mean, I mean, when you're hitting somebody, that's what you usually do. Hey, I mean, you grab on. I mean, I don't know.
Look, I figured last year if the tush push could get 3 yards of play, that's your only play.
just run it.
Will they do that? Jason Kelsey was the heart of that. Is that
he was
play in their playbook? I don't even know.
And some people were saying, should it even be legal? Because obviously, and I mean, if you think about it, I mean, shit, I played in those trenches for 20 years, guys. I know what it's like to line up right over that center, right in that 3 technique, 0-1 technique. And yeah, when those big boys are coming, there's 3 of them coming at you. And even more when they're leading with their helmet and going forward. I mean, you're going to get a lot of head contact in there. Yeah. And obviously now, since CTE is such a big thing, and people are really freaking out over the whole head injury thing. I've seen it so many times. Well, this should be banned or that should be banned. So, I mean, that's another one. What do you think about that, you guys?
I mean, there wasn't many injuries happening from it. I think that's why they got away with it. It wasn't what you said about the head injury. They weren't really happening. So I think if that was the case, they would have banned it, but they didn't. I guess they still call it a football play. It's more like a rugby play in my eyes. But
and I guess the way I looked at it was you would be penalizing one team because no other team really adopted it and did it like the Eagles did.
True.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure the NFL wouldn't have a problem penalizing the Eagles, but that just wouldn't look right. I mean, if the Raiders had a gadget play that worked, and nobody else could run that play as successful, and the NFL banned the play, how'd you feel, Larry? Well, first of all, you'd probably be stunned that the Raiders had a gadget play that worked. First of all,
I was about to say that. Thank you. I was about to say, shit, if we can do that, let's do that, please. Something help us, God, please. Yes.
Right. You got to work that in first, but just look. The way that the talk was, if you don't want the Eagles to do it, well, don't let them get in position to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, and that makes total sense. So, you guys, I love it, man. I'm telling you, talking football with you guys is awesome. Here, listening to you guys on Tuesday nights is awesome. I mean, I love it. It's just this awesome show, man. So, with that said, we got one little sliver left. Obviously, you guys know what's coming. This bad boy is always a lot of fun, and this, of course, the segment let's call Stick It To 'Em. Last year, the year before that, you guys have made some funny ones. My gosh, the stuff you guys say is hilarious, and it's cool because you always keep professional. But you just talk just enough crap. I love it. I don't know how you guys do it, but it's like you guys wrote the textbook for Stick It To 'Em. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is it, the end of NFC East Day. And well, these guys are going to end it well because we are talking about the other 3 teams. Now, they talked all about their team this season. Now we're going to get into this season, of course, for the other 3 teams, such as the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Giants. So, without further ado, guys, talk about those other 3 team seasons, how I think they're going to do this year, and it's okay to sprinkle a little on top and talk a little bit of crap. Cash and Chris, stick it to them.
Me first?
Go for it, Bobby.
Well, you called it the NFC East. The Washington Commanders, the New York Giants, and the Dallas Cowboys, otherwise known as 6 wins. I call that 6 wins. As much as we went down on our team and we talked about question marks, the one question mark will the NFC East be a problem? It won't be. The Giants are they're in complete disarray. The Cowboys took a step backwards. They didn't add much at all, the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, I heard, is limping around the facility, so that could be a Trey Lance Dallas Cowboys team. And Washington's they've been rebuilding since the 80s. I mean, they haven't been a threat since Ronald Reagan was president. So, I mean...
I think that new owner of the Commanders is a problem.
Yeah, he owns the Sixers. Joshua Harris. Yeah, so they need a new stadium, that team. But they got a decent quarter. I'll give Jaden Daniels a chance. I kind of excited to see him play. But like I said, it should be 6 wins. And that's what makes the Eagles' season, bearable. We're gonna get a nice, little cushion with our division, which we don't even play till October 20th. But after that, it's gonna be a lot of division games. And you guys suck. Chris, on to you.
You guys suck.
Yeah, and the other thing too is when you mentioned the Giants, I mean, right now they're second fiddle up there in New York to what everyone's expecting out of the Jets this year. So I mean that's going to be a rough season for the Giants. Like you said, the Commanders are the Commanders. They they haven't been relevant since, like you said, Reagan. And well, yeah, we talk about Dallas, and the Eagles and Dallas usually seem to split, but I'm just hoping this is the year where the Eagles just win both, and this is the year where actually you see Dallas finish lower in the division than they have in a number of years. But then again, once you hit the playoffs, they're going to be out. They're not getting to an NFC Championship game, so.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, from you guys calling Dak Prescott a fraud the last couple of years, and
he is.
Just all the things you get, you guys crack me up, man. The stuff you say, wow, every single year, you guys just bring it. You have some funny stuff.
My thing for the season is I hope that question mark turns into an exclamation point. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? That's very fair. Absolutely. So, gentlemen, once again, everybody out there, these two guys over here are awesome. Once again, Philly Talk, i.e., give them a follow down there. Philly Sports Talk Tuesdays. It's been at 9 Eastern recently, but it'll be back at 8 pretty soon. Tuesdays at 5 or 9 in the next couple of weeks, depending. Coming to StreamYard soon in a couple of weeks. Be ready for that, guys. Really excited for that. You can follow Chris over there. Got Chris Amos, awesome dude here. Follow him. And, of course, Bobby Cash at Bobby Cash 215. Guys, this has been awesome. I appreciate you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Larry.
You guys are the men. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And that's it for it today, guys. So any last comments? Anything you want to throw out there?
What do you want, predictions?
Oh no, anything. Like literally anything you want to say to Eagles fans, anything?
I think we said it all. I think it's going to be a year of adjustments, but I think in the end we got a shot to go somewhere. Maybe second round. Hopefully get lucky and go to the championship game, but there's a lot of good teams in the league. So
10 wins will be good. 11 will be great.
Yeah.
And I think it's very doable. This team has everything they need to do that. So with that said, guys, that is going to do it for this segment. When we come back, we got my final weigh-in on the NFC East. You're listening to 3 and Outs, 8 divisions in 8 days, NFC Day. Well, NFC Week, NFC East Day right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Will be right back with my final weigh-in after this.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. Every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris, the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. IE Sports Radio, your all that sports. Well, there you have it, guys. The NFC East is in the books. And, well, can you believe this, y'all? We are 2 shows in now to the NFC week. That means we only got 8 more teams. My gosh, where has time gone, right? We are officially, wow, I can't believe that. Well, with that, we're going to have ourselves some fun, man. I know a lot of you, like my wife, enjoying the Olympics right now. I'm doing the same, so we'll make this quick. But I'll tell you right now, this is going to be a lot of fun talking about the NFC East here for my final weigh-in, because it was a lot of fun talking to everybody. Once again, big shout out and applause to everybody who joined today, man. Mr. Ricky K, Mike Pat, of course, Drewski, and our boys Cash and Chris, man. Great stuff as always. And well, let's go ahead and get that NFC blue up there and get ready to talk about this NFC East. So short and sweet, guys. You gotta know a few things, right? The NFC East, it really comes down, like last year, it's going to come down to 2 teams at the moment. This division played musical chairs, basically musical teams in the last 15 years, right? We had different divisions, different division leaders, different division champions all throughout the seasons. Most recently, it's been more of the Cowboy Philadelphia show, and the Commanders and Giants kind of fell off a little bit, but you can't spite the others. You can't say that the Giants didn't win 2 Super Bowls in 2008 and 2012. You can't say that Washington, they won the division, like when RG3 came in 2013, around there or something like that. The Eagles, they did their thing in the last, within the last 10 years, win the Super Bowl, getting to another one, So, I mean, you have these teams that are, they're there, the Cowboys, they've consistently been around the playoffs. Unfortunately, though, they've yet to break the big one and get a bowl, since the 96 season. I mean, let's just be real. The Commanders haven't done that since the late 80s or the early 90s, one of the 4 falls of Buffalo, So I mean, you can't say too much about the Cowboys not winning anything. But even though the Eagles and the Giants were more recent, regardless, though, the NFC East, a fun division to talk about. And well, let's go ahead and just take care of as you can tell, sometimes forward or backward, depending on how I feel about certain divisions, how I think they'll pan out. But let's go ahead and start things off. And I think you can tell here, once again, if you guys look at the color adjustment down there, I think some of y'all can tell where I'm headed on first. But okay, so let's go ahead and start from the bottom to the top. Okay, the Commanders. I know some of you are probably going 8-9, but look, 8-9, as I keep on saying, it's a ceiling, okay? We don't really know. They can come out and win 10 games this year. You don't know. New regime, some new players. When it comes down to it, this team has so much upside because they had so much downside recently. They are completely in a different direction now. Let's see what they do. I really like what they have going. I like the fact that they brought in, the coaches they did. Their draft went pretty good. Really, the only way they can go is up. Now, if they completely fall on their face, 5-12 or worse, okay. But I think those days are over. I think they might be on the up and up. I think they might be coming back, which is good. So we'll see. Hopefully, things work out for these guys. But Commanders, I have them once again. My highest for them, maybe 8 and 9. Maybe 9 and 8, but that's if they start chomping into getting the Cowboys and Eagles and Giants under their thumb this season, as early as this season. They might sneak a few of those for sure to even get a 8 and 9. Regardless, though, I don't know. It might be a rough one, another growing pain season, but I think that's pretty fair to put those guys there. Okay, next up, number 3 for me. Obviously, I think this is a simple one. The Giants. Okay, 9 and 8 is fair. Look, last year they had some difficulties as well. Is Daniel Jones the guy? Saquon Barkley is no longer there. There's just some things to fix, right? This year in the offseason, I think on Hard Knocks, we all saw they have their difficulties. They have their work cut out for them. What's really going to happen with these guys? How far are they really going to get? And when it comes down to it, it just really comes down to the play of how well Daniel Jones plays and how good that defense can really, really, really stay off the field. And that's a big measurable there when it comes to their success. So overall, I think this is fair. 9 and 8, possibly, maybe anywhere between there. But then again, if the wheels fall off, they might be down there competing with the Commanders. Man, the Commanders will be fighting for third, especially if the Commanders have a really good season. The Giants will find themselves in the basement. But it could also flip flop where the Giants don't do so well, and the Commanders don't do so well, and the Giants don't do so well either. We'll see. Regardless, though, 2 teams right here at the bottom who I just feel they're gonna get some games. They'll get some victories, but overall, it's not gonna come as easy for the next 2. Now, I can't say easy, but it's definitely with the players on these teams, okay, and the coaching staffs. I wouldn't say it'll be easy, but it'll be easier because, well, they're currently the 2 top dogs, and I think it's only fair, right? So, okay, so before everybody freaks out on me, okay, especially the Eagles fans, okay, because here we go. Yes, I do have them in a close second, but wait. There's more, okay? So, this is fair. 13 and 5 to a possible 11 and 6 season. Why do I have the Eagles winning this many games? Because I know there's no more Kelsey. I get it. There's certain players in this team that just are no longer there. Regardless, though, this team had a hell of a draft. My gosh, Saquon Barkley's there now. They're gonna win some games, guys. They win more than 13 games, and they win more than 13 games. But like you heard Cash and Chris earlier, 10 games they think is pretty good, and hey, they might even drop to 10 games. But I do feel that this team will win double digits this year. There's no way they don't. And before the Cowboys fans get a little too excited, okay, let's get on over to the Cowboys, of course, and talk about those guys at number 1. If you take a look here, it's the same exact records, okay? 3 and 14 to 11 and 6. All right. So one more time, let's go ahead and put that over. Okay. We'll throw that green up there. All right. Eagles, maybe 13 and 4 to 11 and 6. Okay. And one more time, guys, them Cowboys, I have them around the same neighborhood, 13 and 4 to 11 and 6. What does that mean? Well, very simple, guys. May the best team win. Okay. There's going to be a lot of buzz surrounding those games. That's all there is to it. Those 2 games this year are going to be lit, and they may very well break even. Okay, 1-1. If somebody completes a sweep in this one, then they're more than likely going to win the division. But the biggest question is how well will they do in the playoffs? That's the thing. If the Eagles win this thing, and maybe they sweep or maybe they just pull it off slightly, how well do they do? Do they get to the conference? I mean, the NFC isn't. I mean, really, it's just the Niners. You know what I mean? Like, so do you feel they can get there? The Rams are they're looming. But overall, guys, if you look at this division, if you look at this conference, the Eagles, I feel, can possibly be a conference team if they win this thing. And the Cowboys, I think this is Cowboys fans. You get your wish. I think I saw Mr. Cowboy in here earlier talking about just get past the divisional round, and I honestly think that will happen if the Cowboys end up pulling the sweep or being better than 13 wins or right around 13 wins. The Cowboys can definitely get to the conference. It's just they can't shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, obviously, and then yes, we know injuries and all those things come into play. But looking at the realistic picture, okay, guys, these records are all based on in a possible, somewhat perfect world where we can be somewhat injury free. Where they can be, for the most part, healthy and things go pretty good. That's where these records are in the ceiling. And then on the bottom, well, maybe they'll be around there, maybe worse. So once again, guys, I have both the Cowboys and the Eagles between 13 and 11 wins, okay? And really, it just comes down to who's going to punch more. I have the Cowboys at 1 because as good as the Eagles, I think, will be this year, this is a pressure year. This is a pressure year. If the Cowboys, I mean, this could be it for Dak, man. The guy's a great dude. He's a great player, great athlete. It's just the fact that if he doesn't deliver this year, I mean, he might not be a Cowboy next year. I mean, as you heard Drewski say earlier, it's not even a loss for him because if he's somebody else, if he's playing for another team next year, then guess what? It's not even a big deal. You know what I mean? It's not even that much of a big deal. They're going to keep on paying him. I made the Josh Hamilton joke, with the Rangers. I mean, what it comes down to, guys, is the fact that the Cowboys are in a make or break for sure. There's a lot of guys who might not be on the team next year if they do not win this thing and probably get somewhere near the conference. I mean, this is a big, big, big year for the Cowboys. And I just feel they're going to be playing under pressure the whole year, which may push them out in front. But Eagles fans, it might just go just the other way where the Eagles crack under pressure, okay? And the Eagles just run out in front and take this thing. Now, these are, in my opinion, 2 Super Bowl contenders. I really do feel that these guys are in the conversation of being that kind of caliber team. Once again, the Niners, we talked about them yesterday. They're tip top. They can totally get back to the bowl. They're going to be strong. The Rams, well, they're going to be in a discussion of a lower tier, maybe like a NFC Championship caliber kind of team, may or may not, if they were able to knock off the Niners. But that's in a perfect world for the Rams this year because they got a lot of things they got to solve as well. But like I said, they're a good, strong, they can be a candidate for like a divisional round kind of team. That's what I'll say. Same thing, when we'll talk about the Lions tomorrow, I mean, I think this team could also be a strong contender. And obviously the rest of the NFC, oh my gosh, not tomorrow, but on Thursday, the rest of the NFC North is going to be a lot of fun to get into because this is going to complete more of this conversation. And look at the South, I mean, really, is tomorrow when we talk about them, you'll see, are there super strengths in there? Are these just a couple teams who are fighting hard to just get along, to try to just get somewhere near the wild card this year? Who's the favorite there? So once again, when you look at the NFC, I mean, you really do see at the top right now the Niners for sure, and you can see the Cowboys and the Eagles up there. Okay. Once again, we'll get into the divisions tomorrow, but I do strongly feel that if one of these 2 teams get a stranglehold on the division, then guess what? They may just go out and make it happen. They may just go either to the conference, and if they can beat out the Niners, possibly to the bowl, guys. So this could be an exciting year for Cowboy fans. Could be another exciting year for the Eagles. We'll find out. But I'll tell you right now, this is going to be a lot of fun. And I feel those are very fair. Those are very, very fair predictions. It's hard. It's hard to predict these things, guys. And once again, our predictions, man, these things go out the window. These are fun shows. We love talking about it, right? That's what we do. Nothing gets, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I remember playing the bowl game back in the day in college, man. We were the underdog, and we ended up winning that game by a lot. It just happens, guys. It just happens. Sometimes these kind of shows, it'd be kind of cool if they were listening, right? But smaller tier sports shows here. But once again, sometimes it could be those shows that spark those teams to be like, oh yeah, watch me. You know what I mean? So thank you, Drewski. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, man, I really do think that this could be a good year for both of those teams, man. The Eagles and the Cowboys. And if they're both really strong, and this turns into a Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield type of deal, well, then good. I want that. I want that bang, bang fight all the way to the end, because maybe that will be what sparks these teams. Maybe the Cowboys and the Eagles come down to a Week 17 game where they're both tied in the division and in record-wise, and the winner of Week 17 moves on, or Week 18, actually gets it and moves on into the playoffs. Maybe after that fight, they just run through the NFC and they get to the bowl and they win one. You don't know that. You know what I mean? You don't know. It all depends on everything, health and all that good stuff. So anyway, guys, that is the NFC East. And boy, oh boy, that was I knew I was going to really get into that one. I was going to try to make it a little short just because I know, like I said, it's a long show and everything. But thank you to everybody who's been hanging out these last 3 hours. You guys are awesome. And thank you to everybody who's been hanging out those last 3 hours, or these last 3 hours for the last 6 days. And I can't believe we're 6 days into it. Tomorrow, day number 7 with the NFC South. And then, of course, we're finishing off on Thursday with the NFC North. And we get the Hall of Fame game on Thursday evening. So with that said, guys, it's time to cue that music because we're out of here. All right, you guys, that's going to do it, man. We have ourselves some fun. We have ourselves a whole bunch of fun to get into in the next few days, like I said. We just finished off the NFC East, which is a very fun division. Once again, with these two teams, the Eagles 13-4 possibly to 11-6, Cowboys 13-4 to possibly 11-6 are the best team. And then, of course, we're getting on in tomorrow to the NFC South. Oh, my goodness, that's a division, isn't it? I feel like it's wide open. That's about as wide open as it possibly gets. The Buccaneers, the Saints, the Panthers, the Falcons. Tomorrow we got 4 more diehards coming on here to get on into it. Today we have 5. We got 2 divisions, right? But, yeah, man, we got 4 more diehards coming up tomorrow. Be ready, y'all. NFC South Day coming on up. Oh, this has been a lot of fun, guys. Make sure to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. You can look that up there. IE Sports Radio, at IE Sports Radio. Appreciate you guys. Follow us all over the place here. Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Music /Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and Dial 7. Make sure to follow. Head over to our website. Check out our stuff. One of our custom-made pages, icebergradio.com/3and-out. Show us some love, man. Head over to the website, icebergradio.com. Check out our schedule for today. Daily updated, of course. Check out all of our stuff, our merch. Grab you some stuff from the merch shop here. Hats, t-shirts. We got all the goods for you, man. Head on over, like I said, just Iceberg Radio in general. Fans of the Month, Hall of Fame. You might find yourself in there one day. Who knows? Keep on showing love with us and being in the chat rooms and doing all that. You might find yourself a Hall of Famer one day. So all of that good stuff. Show love. You can follow this show at 3and-out. At 3and-out, all spelled out. IESR. You can follow me, boy Larry BSB, LB53. Make sure to check out our delicious sponsor, Planet Jerky Food. Jerky for the whole planet. Head over to Instagram, give them a follow at Planet Jerky. Head on over to planetjerky.net, grab you a bag while supplies last. You can go over to Planet Jerky, let them know that you heard this ad here on IE Sports Radio. While supplies last, you get a free bag of jerky, of course. So make sure you show them some love over at Planet Jerky, at Planet Jerky on Instagram. Also, my beautiful wife and her awesome business seal kit, black seal, wedding invitation, graduation invitation, all that good stuff. Just a letter to a friend. Seal it with her awesome little wax stamps. Follow her Instagram at seal_wax seals. Seal the Deal Wax Seals on Facebook. Order at icebergradio.com/Seal the Deal Wax Seals. $150 a piece for these awesome little wax seals. You're going to love them, guys. With that said, appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much for all of our guests today. Drewski up in here, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, man. Karen, Cowboy, Ralph, Felice, Drewski, as I said, everybody in the chat room, man. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow, y'all, talking to NFC South. I'll see you tomorrow, y'all. Take care, and as always, God bless.